What is up, RotoGrinders? Happy Monday. Happy tax day. Right now, the start of 2+ hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation. No more NBA conversation. I'm sure Keith, did you have the you guys know Keith Eister? Did you have the pleasure of doing projections on Sunday for that 15 game slate? I guess it was two different slates. They kind of chopped it in half, 8 and 7, some games at 1, some games at 3:30. But I believe, were you not on projections on Sunday? Because if you were, you want to give me 30 seconds on that?
Yeah, it was a nightmare, Dean. There was one window of games that all started at 1 o'clock. I believe it was 7 games. And of course, there were 150 names on the injury report. So yeah, it was quite a nightmare. And then the second set of games started at 3:30. So luckily it was over quickly, but the hour leading up to 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern and the hour leading up to 3:30 Eastern were the busiest day of the year for me. Absolutely. But it is over now. We can smooth cruise control into the playoffs.
Did you have time to actually play the slate? I didn't play DFS, but I played underdog stuff. And I thought I was being smart, not playing Bulls, because I'm like, oh, the Bulls, they're locked into the 9 spot. There's no reason for them to play the DeRozan. He might be out by halftime. Who knows? And every Bull starter played 43 minutes. I'm like, what do they do? What do they think they're playing for? But then again, I remembered, oh, it's the Bulls. This is one of the dopiest organizations in all of basketball. Your team. Were you bewildered by this too? I still have not recovered from the Bulls. I know they went in overtime, whatever, but still, they were
I think that was Saturday. On Sunday, they rested everybody, right? But Saturday is the day you're talking
nobody
about.
played on Saturday.
Saturday was an off day. Yeah,
must have been Friday.
Saturday. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Bulls rested everybody. I'm pretty sure, but I could be misremembering. The day is pretty jumbled. I'm not gonna lie.
I kind of caught you off guard with some basketball talk, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking about. And of course, yeah, projecting basketball a little bit easier going forward with the playoffs because rotations will be really concise. I don't know if Josh Hart can play 49 minutes, but if he can, Tom Thibodeau will figure out a way to make him do that. Also joining us, you guys got Keith Eister, Cubby fan. We'll talk some Cubs later on in the show for sure. We got Tim Buell, Tasteful Tides, kind of a 3-entry max, a single entry specialist. What's up, Tim? Happy Monday.
Real quick before Tim hops in, Dean, can you tilt your camera down? We're broadcasting from the 1990s here.
I can do that. By the way, the people are like, who's that? I haven't heard that. Where's producer Devin with out of nowhere? All of a sudden he's come down from his castle and he's producing the show. So we do appreciate having him on here. Tim, welcome. How's Monday treating you?
It's been good until I realized I had a show with you, and Movie Monday, whatever that is. So.
I mean, you don't know. We've done 6 or 7 of these so far, Tim.
I'm drawing dead on Movie Monday, Dean. I don't like this game.
Here's the thing. Thankfully, the prize you already have. You already have access to, my understanding. I assume you have an RG Premium. You got souped up with all the RG gear. Took a while, but it finally got to you. You got RG Premium as well. But yeah, if you guys guessed correctly, those hanging out in chat, those hanging out in the Discord, well, you want to put your answer in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Oh no, I shouldn't say / anymore.
It's
Blender
just say
slash. It's just /. Yes,
it's just / Dean. Come on.
Thanks for never correcting me. Blender was kind enough to finally correct me. Just /. Yeah, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Go into the live stream chat channel and put your answer in there. We're gonna give out 5 clues, kind of a slow rollout. The very first clue. You want to give the first clue out to the people now? Let's go ahead and do that. Sure, why not? This one's not going to help a heck of a lot. If you bank it, if you get a hole in one here, we'll give you 2 weeks of RG Premium. But just we got to build the anticipation.
Are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed to do that, Dean? All right.
Well, producer Devin will tell me he'll reprimand me otherwise, but I just don't think anybody's going to get it. I'm just confident that this clue is not going to help the people out enough. But clue number 1 is Jake. It's just Jake. Jake is clue number 1. You want to tell me what movie this is? You only get 1 guess per clue, and you're going to go ahead and guess not in the YouTube. We love you hanging out on YouTube. We love you guys hanging out on the Twitter as well. And hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all those things. But your official answers, it's only official if you throw your answer into the live stream chat channel. And I think hopefully, now I'm rooting against everybody to not. If anybody binks it, I will be tilted the rest of the show for sure. We got a 9-gamer as far as talking some baseball. You guys got us for the next hour and 15 minutes until we yield to Kevin Roth. We got Keith coming in. TJ as well. I believe TJ is hosting and producing. Or no, maybe he's just I think he's doing analysis and producing, if not mistaken. But yeah,
shows.
Say it again.
Said Keith was coming in. Am I doing back to back today?
Did I say Keith? Oh boy, it's
you're all over the place, Dean. He's also just producing. He's not on the show.
Well, then wait a second. I see the email went out to Kevin, Will. Mm-hmm. Who's live? Is there a person named Live?
That's their email. Let's not dox people here on the show live, Dean.
Dean, this is unbelievable.
Is this live? Or are we doing this? Are we taping this?
We'll run it back. We'll start it over, everybody.
Count me back in, Devin, if you don't mind.
You know we have a schedule sheet, right, Dean?
Yeah, I'm looking at the email, the schedule sheet. You know, I thought the email would be the most up to date. Every once in a while, the schedule sheet will change. So I thought I was being proactive, just looking at the email, but egg on my face. But you're definitely getting. Well, TJ will be chiming in if nothing else. You get Will as well. But yeah, talking baseball. The next 2 hours, plenty of time. Speaking of Kevin Roth, by the way, not a lot of weather, nothing really dicey out there. I'll go ahead and drop this in chat for the people, the weather report. But as far as I'm concerned, precipitation, not really an issue right now. Green, yellow for the Mets in New York. Otherwise, it's green in Chicago. Winds left to right and a bit in from left at 10 miles per hour. But yeah, we're not really concerned. There's a bunch of games at around 6-ish or so, 6:30, 6:40. There's another slate for that. We're not discussing those games. If you guys happen to have like any bets or any takes or any sides or any totals, by all means, fire them off. Keith, did you dive in? Did you throw any bets out there on the old scores and odds for the early slate by chance?
I did not. I was looking through pitcher props. Nothing really stood out to me today. Glasnow with his matchup against Washington. I do like George Kirby to rebound. We'll talk about that a little bit. 6.5, I believe, was his K prop. So more of a lean to the over there. I believe Grand is actually on his under. So that always scares me when an expert is on the opposite side. But I do like George Kirby to bounce back. Good matchup there for him against Cincinnati, which we're going to talk about. But no real props standing out to me. There are a couple out there that other people have written up that I did bet that I do really like. Britt seems to write up Mookie Betts over 1.5 bases every single day.
Yes.
But hey, that's a good guy to be over on every single day. Love the spot for Mookie today. So that was one I definitely bet. Really like that one. Juan Soto over 1.5 bases also is the squad ride, which I really like that. These Yankees lefties are definitely something we're going to talk about.
Yeah, shout out to Bobby Gomes. Bobby Gomes, select that as far as the squad ride. Do ride with us in the Discord as well. I just want to make sure, and the Soto thing, and we'll talk about that, but we don't want any walks, obviously. And he's a super patient hitter, and he's happy to take a walk when they give it to him. But Bassett, he throws strikes. He's a strike thrower, so I think he certainly can walk him. But I'm just afraid of, I don't want to pick Soto over 1.5 bases against somebody that's wild, because it's well, he's just going to take a walk, and that doesn't – it's good for the Yankees, but it's bad for us. I guess it's good for the Yankees. I heard that clip somebody on the local New York Yankee radio was there's a whole rant yelling at Juan Soto for taking too many walks. And it's well, and Aaron Judge is behind. This is bad. Why don't you? We paid you to hit homers, not walk. And it's dude gets on base better than basically anybody. Has led the league in walks for, I think, 3 years. And he's 25. But okay, walks are bad apparently. According to New York, they don't care for walks up there in New York. Tim, give me the screenshot as far as this slate. Atlanta, Houston looks really, really tasty with, the offense looks much, much better than the defense as far as the arms. I guess Darius Vines is the current answer to the Spencer Strider injury. Spencer Argetti on the other side was a complete disaster his first time out. 10.5 total. Biggest total on the board. I'm not a big game stack guy, but certainly looks like a really, really good quote-unquote game stack if it happens organically, however you want to do it. But Atlanta versus Houston looks pretty tasty. Best pitcher in the slate very, very clearly is Glasnow. It's just a matter of salary and kind of making that work. And then get the Dodgers, the aforementioned Dodgers and bets. And the bet we're talking about over him with 1.5 to, total bases against Mitchell Parker. 2 last names, 2 first names. But come on, it's not Mitchell Parker versus the Dodgers. Good luck. It's these really, really great offenses, the best offenses versus 3 of the most vulnerable arms. Kind of sort of undiscovered where you're not really sure what they are, but there's not a lot of promise behind Mitchell Parker either. What do you see in here, Tim, as far as this slate?
Yeah, definitely. Clearly, it's Atlanta, Houston, Dodgers are going to be your top offenses on the slate. It's not close, really. But the problem is that we live in a world of a salary cap, right, Dean?
You don't
So
say.
we have right. So we have Tyler Glasnow on the slate, who is priced, I think, correctly. I think he's obviously going to be the highest owned pitcher on the slate, and he's going to be tough to get away from in all formats. So, he's 11K on DK, but we want to fit in these premium bats too. So that's going to be the tricky part. And then I'm really having trouble with SB2. That's pretty tough today. We talked about George Kirby a little bit, but he's 89. So now you're spending almost 20K just on your pitchers. So some of these guys, like Cheese has Ross Stripling tagged, like I'm not disagreeing with him, but it's Ross Stripling and he's 6K and I don't really know if I want to pitch him. Then we have Luis Heel at 7,400 that I like quite a bit also, but these guys are all pretty risky pairing with Glasnow. So like there's really no safe place to go, in my opinion, on SB2. So SB2 is really, really tough. And then also, I think value stacks today are kind of ugly. So like you have to play some cheap bats today. And that's going to be like the key to the slate is who's going to be the high ceiling SB2 and who's going to be the cheap, mini stack that goes off with one of your Atlanta stacks or one of your Houston stacks, because doesn't look good today in terms of value.
Eric in the chat talking about Sonny Gray, and the tricky part with Sonny Gray is just he's not fully stretched out. I think they announced 75 pitches as the projection. That's kind of where we have him projected for right now. And sure, he can be efficient and be pretty good in 75 pitches. He was good his first start, to start the season. I think he went 5 pretty clean. Great ballpark in Oakland, inept offense as well. But the ceiling is not spectacular. Tough chance to get that QS on FanDuel. He certainly can. But, I think he's projected to throw the fewest amount of baseballs as a median projection amongst all the starters today. And I should say, if you read Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, you read his article today, the musings, it wasn't like a glowing, and then you kind of said this as well, Tim. It wasn't like this glowing sort of recommendation of Stripling. It was just like, he's the guy that I'm willing to play because of salary cap reasons that kind of open stuff up. And hopefully he can just eke me to like 12, 13, 14 points or something like that. Just enough and kind of open up the salary. We can load up on these great offenses. What are you seeing, Keith? And, Glasnow, are you rolling out your typical 20? Is that what we're doing today?
Yeah, about 20, 25 lineups for me today. It's the price for Glasnow I'm having a little bit of trouble with. Washington has struck out a little bit more this year than they did last year. Additions of guys like Joey Gallo and Jesse Winker have certainly boosted their Ks a little bit, but they're still a below average strikeout team. Glasnow can strike out anybody. Don't get me wrong. He just posted 14 of them against the Twins, but the Twins are one of the highest strikeout teams in baseball. I don't know if he has the upside that I want to go all the way to the top for Glasnow, because I am really excited about the offenses. Houston, Dodgers, Braves all look to be in this phenomenal spots. I feel like I'm prioritizing bats over Tyler Glasnow today, and that's not what we're projecting the field to do. Glasnow's ownership is way up there, above 50% on DraftKings, and rightfully so. He's definitely the best pitcher on the slate. There's no doubt about that. I'm just hoping that he goes out and strikes out 7 instead of 10 and doesn't quite pay off that 11K price tag. It's definitely an uncomfortable fade. I'm certainly playing him. I'm just not going to be quite at the rate that the field is at.
We're getting a little funky robot there from you. I'm not sure. I see producer Devin.
Tell me you're jumping into Plate IQ without telling me you're jumping through Plate IQ.
Is that Keith? Is that what's going on there?
I assume that's what's happening.
Your computer? We might have lost Keith altogether. He froze there.
He's freezing a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Maybe if he jumps out and jumps back in, we can kind of figure it out.
I'll message him.
All right. Tim, it's now become an intimate show. It's just the two of us. I was curious to hear, if he's not going to completely load up on Glasnow. And again, he wasn't saying he doesn't like Glasnow. He's just saying hopefully he doesn't get a ceiling game. And if he strikes out 14 again, like Keith's going to go to bed. That's just how that works sometimes.
That's right.
He's probably not going to strike out 14, but he's got a greater ceiling than everybody else. but like the salary kind of bakes that in, right? He's worth 2K. He's 2K more than everybody else on DK. Still, despite that, 52% owned currently. And I think a lot of that also points to the lack of depth when it comes to arms on this slate, right? We got 18 starting pitchers, but it falls off pretty quickly. I know Keith was talking about George Kirby. George Kirby looking like the second most popular pitcher in the slate, taking on Cincinnati. We got Keith back. Hopefully Keith is good to go now. So if we're not playing Glasnow, if we're going to be under the field as far as the 52%, is he complete X out, Keith, or is like maybe 25%, 20%? What was your thought process, and who are you elevating up?
Yeah, definitely not a complete X out for me. I still think he's the best pitcher on the slate. And the potential to absolutely, like, I'm surprised he had strikeout. I don't think that's the most likely outcome here. The guy I'm overweight on is George Kirby. He's really struggled in his last 2 starts. He is not the breakout pitcher in the world. I do really like his matchup today against the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds have struck out at the sixth highest rate in baseball this season, 5.3%. And they had a huge upgrade going from one of the most homer-friendly parks in the league in Cincinnati, the Great American Ballpark, out to Seattle, which is basically a neutral park, slightly favors pitchers, but definitely a huge downgrade for the Reds bats. Everything I'm looking at under the hood for George Kirby still looks phenomenal. The walk rate is and always has been elite. His swinging strike rate and his called strike whiff rate are both right in line with his career. So the strikeouts are down a little bit this year. He's at like 19.5%. But I fully expect him to go back to like low 20s here with everything I'm seeing under the hood. And he does have a 380 batting average on balls in play this season. He was down around 290 last year. So it's just the fact is George Kirby's been getting unlucky. He is still like on the cusp of being an elite pitcher, not an elite strikeout pitcher, but an elite real life pitcher. And you give him the matchup bump today with a high strikeout Reds team. I think 8,900 on DK and 8,600, I believe, on FanDuel. He's just a little bit too cheap. I like him to work deep into the game, and I think he can rack up some strikeouts today.
That Cincinnati lineup has been released. India, Benson, and Encarnacion Strand, Steer, Fraley, De La Cruz, Candelario, Martini, and Stevenson doing the catching. And like the other thing I was kind of looking at as well, and it's all small sample stuff, right? But that's what we have is to start the season. And people look at Kirby and he's been terrible, right? The numbers have been bad. The ERA is almost 9. It's 8 and change. The hard hits are still down. He's not getting hit hard. And like you said, unlucky as far as the BABIP 380. That's typically around 300 or so, depending on. But the other one that kind of jumped out, and again, this is really small sample stuff, Keith, but it shows why he's giving up runs. His left on base percentage is 46.3%. Like if you get on, there's a greater than 50% chance you score. And league average for that historically around 72%. So, that should get a correction also. So he's your SB1, all things considered, Keith. SB2, who are you pairing him with? How low are you going as far as how much salary did they open up? Are you going to get 2 guys here in the mid tier?
Yeah, this is the uncomfortable part. Nobody else on the slate is really standing out for me. Sonny Gray would definitely be that guy if he wasn't limited in his pitch count, but he's going to be in that 75 to 80 pitch count range. He would need to be like super efficient. Not that he can't. He gets Oakland, which is one of the best matchups in baseball. They've struck out at the highest rate in baseball. So I do have some Sonny Gray. I just think his upside is a bit limited. He basically has to be perfect to give you 6 innings and something like 8 strikeouts. That would certainly work at his price tag. But there are avenues for him to fail, just given that the pitch count is a little bit limited. Joe Musgrove has not been quite right this season. I have some interest there as well. He's been a well above average pitcher in the past. Don't mind the price tag, but again, I'm not excited about the upside. And then outside of that, like I don't have any interest in trying to pick on the Cubs with Merrill Kelly. Frankie Montas, I like the matchup against Seattle, but the strikeouts have not shown up for him. He's not cheap. So I don't love the price tag for Montas. I do have him in the pool, but it's going to be at a rate slightly above the field. Nothing I'm going significantly overweight on. The other guy that I'm significantly overweight on is Luis Gil, and it doesn't feel great. The walks are definitely a problem. Toronto is loaded with power, but all that power is right-handed. The other negative factor for Gil is he just faced this Toronto team in his last start. And generally you see a dip in the strikeout rate when a pitcher is facing a team in back-to-back starts. So I'm concerned about the upside for Heel, but I do like the price tag. Toronto's very right-handed heavy, which should help him out. Again, it's not comfortable. I don't feel great about Ross Stripling. He's in the pool, but like I'm only using him in when I absolutely need to. It's uncomfortable beyond George Kirby and Glasnow for me today.
By the way, I'm curious. You mentioned Musgrove. How much? It's early in the season. You're talking about the Cubs. The Cubs have been pretty good offensively, but Milwaukee, one of your rivals. Are we buying Milwaukee being this good of an offense, or is it kind of fluky?
I think it's pretty fluky, but I mean, if Yelich keeps this up, like, I don't know. I figured them for around league average and probably slightly below league average coming into the season, but it's hard to ignore what they've done so far early in the season. If Yelich is back, that certainly helps them.
He's not playing today. He's dealing with that back. WRC plus for Milwaukee is third in the league. Atlanta number 1, not surprising. Houston number 2, not surprising. But Milwaukee third, which is kind of sort of somewhat surprising. The Marlins, by the way, dead last, if you were wondering, 62. And if you wonder how WRC plus works, 100 is a baseline. If you have 105 WRC plus, you're 5% better than league average. So the Marlins are 38% worse than league average. And yes, you guessed, the White Sox are, in fact, the second worst team when it comes to WRC plus. That does check out. And speaking of the White Sox, I don't think you mentioned them, and I'm curious, maybe Tim can jump in here. Lugo, Lugo's been like bad. He's not getting any strikeouts, but this White Sox team is terrible, and he's not cheap. Again, this is small sample stuff, right? But 11.8% strikeouts, swinging strike rate suggests it should be a little bit higher at 7.6%. We got a Lugo take here, Tim. I just wish he was a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I wish he was a little bit cheaper. Also, his velocity is down from last year. Also, like you said, under a 12% K rate. But I love picking on this White Sox lineup. So I think he is viable, but there's quite a few guys that I would prefer in that same price range on DK. So, I mean, guys like Musgrove, Gray, Kirby, I think are way safer. So I also think that Bassett is at least playable at 82. So I'm not really that high on Lugo, despite the fact that this White Sox team is terrible. And I'm with Keith. Like, I'd rather save and go down to heel at 74, just because I think he actually has a pretty nice ceiling. So I am reluctantly out on Lugo today. If I was making, say, 20 teams, I might put him in like maybe 1 or 2 just because of that White Sox lineup. But I'm not crazy about him because that velocity is down.
The ownership, I think, is pretty low on him, if I'm not mistaken. I'm kind of scrolling for it now to find it. Why can I not find it? Is it that
Lugo?
low? Where's Lugo at?
Lugo's 12 and heel is 5.
Yeah, heel feels like the biggest variance play. Like he's got, as far as his potential outcomes, it could be pretty good or really, really bad, right? But you kind of accept that going in. And if you're trying to win tournaments, that's kind of what you want. You don't necessarily want the steady Eddie. It's going to give you 12, no more, no less, that kind of thing. But yeah, like a lot of Ks we've seen in the past, and to super wild as well. It could go either way. I like that thought process. By the way, in the chat, no pressure here. Our boy Broccoli Boy says, I'm playing the big boy tournament tonight. I need you to be on your game this show. Lead me to the promised land. What is the big boy tournament? If we have one big boy tournament, what would it be? I don't even know if that is. The 121 single entry? Is that the big boy? What's the big boy?
For him, it's probably the $15.
Oh boy,
I'm guessing. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's leave Broccoli Boy to the problem. You think he would give us the credit if he somehow steered in the right direction? And that's not in his nature, though, is it? I don't believe so. Broccoli Boy would say
definitely not. No shot.
Did you give a take, Keith, as far as Lugo? I'm not sure if you mentioned him in passing. You ran up a bunch of pitchers.
I did not mention him in passing. The strikeouts have not been there this season. I know the White Sox lineup is terrible. There's no debating that, I don't think. But I just don't see the upside. I'd much rather play Sonny Gray, even if I'm going to get 10 to 15 less pitches, because I think the strikeout spot is a lot better for him. I feel better about his run prevention chances. Give me Gray over Lugo almost every time.
Shout out to Bobby Gomes in the chat. I know the People Show's returning tomorrow. Myself, Tim, and Bobby. I don't know, Bobby had a nice day in the golf streets this weekend. He didn't win the Millie. He was really, really close. I'm not trying to tilt him, I promise. But I think he finished like top 5 or so using we were sweating it. We were talking about it on the Sirius show this past weekend. Do listen to us on Sirius, 5 to 7 o'clock, Saturday and Sundays. That's our standard time, but it does fluctuate on occasion. I'm trying to see what other names are being thrown out there in chat. I see TJ hanging out in chat saying Spidey Bomb at 100 likes. I don't know where we're at as far as likes. But let's get those likes up. TJ, of course, coming in later, if not for analysis, for producing, if nothing else. Bobby is blaming me. Bobby's mad that I mushed him. You know, he won like 25K. What does he want? 25K is pretty good. Maybe that's the average weekend for Bobby. I don't really know. I thought that was pretty solid.
I've got a mush to get off my chest too here, Dean.
What did I do?
Oh boy.
Oh,
wow.
I know what it is. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Turnbull. Yeah.
Spencer Turnbull didn't quite get it done for us over the weekend, did he?
Wow.
So whose fault is it when you? Is it the squad ride? The person who picks the selection? You wrote up. All I did was say, "Hey, I think Keith is a sharp guy. I trust Keith. I trust his take." I read an article from Eno Saros talking about the pitch mix changing in the Athletic for Turnbull, and he got squeezed a little bit. I don't know if he probably still wouldn't have got there. A little bit of a squeezing on the ball.
His command was admittedly, I haven't watched a ton of Turnbull early this season, but the command was just atrocious in that game. The wind was blowing heavy, so I don't know if that had something to do with it, but he just could not locate any of his pitches. And the data on his sweeper is still really weird early in the season as well. Like, he's getting whiffs early in the count, but he's not getting strikeouts with it. So definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. I think he's probably an average to above average pitcher, but he was definitely off for us on Saturday. I think that was.
You got Bobby something, Devin?
Bobby in chat going for your knees. If Dean says in on squad rides, be careful.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this. If Bobby's on, he's selecting the squad ride pick tonight. He picked Soto, and I did post in the chat. I did trail. I did bush, I guess, allegedly, potentially. We'll see.
There it is. Confirmed, everybody.
What else you got, Devin?
D-Dot in Discord wants to know, any love for Ben Brown? You guys going against those Diamondbacks tonight?
That's a Keith question because, the Chicago prospect, he's looked good. He's looked bad. He's got some promise. He gets to start this game, which I guess is good for him. I guess when he doesn't start, like, he's got a better chance of getting the win, I suppose. If you bring him in like the third inning or so, I assume he's going to be a starter going forward. That was just kind of a piggyback situation. But yeah, what's your take here, Keith? This is your team.
He'll probably start until Justin Steele returns. The Cubs are dealing with a couple of injuries. Jameson Taillon's on his way back soon too. Long term, there is some reliever risk. He's basically only throwing 2 pitches right now. The fastball, he's got velocity on it, but he's not generating a ton of whiffs with it. The curveball looks like a legitimate, like, elite out pitch for him. 46.9% whiffs, 27% put away pitch on the curve, put away rate on the curveball. So he does have at least one legitimate elite big league pitch. I'm concerned that he generally only uses 2, and the Diamondbacks are not a team that I really like to pick on at all. They make a lot of contact. There's enough power in that lineup. And then the other concern is the pitch count. I don't think they're really willing to extend him much beyond like 80 pitches. So upside against this high contact Diamondbacks team, I think, is limited. If it's a 1v1 versus Stripling, I mean, I'm okay with that. I think there's significantly more risk for Ben Brown. I do think the upside's a little bit higher, but the pitch count is a little concerning also.
Arizona lineup is out. We got Marte, Carroll, Gurriel, Walker, Peterson, Suarez, Moreno, McCarthy, and Kevin Newman, who's like a terrible hitter, but he's going to like ground out and pop up and just probably not strike out. Which comes first? Is it 80 pitches? Would he go 3 times around potentially, or just 2 times around and that's it? He gets the hook. It's like whichever one comes first.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Have we missed anybody as far as pitchers? I'm trying to see if there's somebody we've yet talked about. I saw somebody asking about the prospect of rolling out Mitchell Parker. I mean, that's, understand. I kind of think of like what Cheese says. Like Dave says, like, look, you're probably going to lose anyway. Like, your lineup is probably going to lose anyway. So if you want to be super crazy ambitious, it was Derek asking about Parker and just pray for 10 points. It might be -10. It could be -10 against this Dodger lineup. I don't think I'm getting there. I understand he's super cheap and, he's professionally trained to throw baseballs and he's 4K. Keith, 1 of 20 for Parker, or just an X out and that's it?
He's an X for me. If it wasn't the Dodgers, sure, but he's got the Dodgers today. No thanks.
Same deal with Argetti and Vines. Vines is too pricey, but like you're not considering him anyway. I don't think. But
yeah, no, I would go Parker over Argetti. I do think Argetti's the slightly better prospect. Just I don't have any interest in pitchers against these two teams, even when they're known good starting pitchers. Guys making their major league debut and second start here against two of the more elite offenses in the entire league. I'm out.
Amateur Hour just asking about Guillerme. Any upside there? No. Guillerme is a terrible hitter. He's a fielder, and I was kind of annoyed to see him hit the Atlanta lineup, but he is crazy cheap. We'll get to the Atlanta lineup soon enough. He's the guy. He used to be playing for the Mets, right? This is the guy that kind of jump around the infield for the Mets. He's just a glove, right? Okay. I mean, if you're stacking Atlanta, sure, right? He can come up with the bases loaded and hit the ball down the line, that kind of thing, and clear the bases. But here's the ultimate mush. He's not going to hit the ball over the fence. I don't know what his odds are in a homer today, but it ain't happening. One more, by the way. DK did add. Oh, go ahead. What do you got, Tim?
I was going to ask, has Keith talked about Frankie Montas at all?
A little bit.
I did touch on him. It's the strikeouts that are concerning to me, and the price tag. If he was a little bit cheaper, I would have interest because I don't mind picking on Seattle a little bit. They strike out a ton, but Montas's strikeouts really haven't shown up. He was really bad before the injury with New York, so I'm glad that he's off to a good start. I need to see a little bit more strikeout stuff for him if I'm going to pay that price. He is. I do have him like 10 or 15%, but I don't feel good about it.
I'm just getting a ton of him in Sims right now. So,
have we seen this Kirby? Class A playing the majors yet for Seattle? This guy hitting 8th, and I'm assuming it's Class A because like Emmanuel Class A, but I don't know. Jonathan Class A. I see he's got an 80 on FanGraphs for speed, for what it's worth. Just 21 years old. I think this is his debut. Have you guys ever heard of a Class A batting 8th tonight for the Mariners? It's Crawford, J-Rod, Polanco, Haniger, France, Raleigh, the big dumper. Raleigh and Luke Raley. Raleigh and Raley. All right. Yeah, that threw me off there for a second. Class A and then Rojas. Is he even in the pool? Class A? Do we know anything about this guy? And we got to read on him. He's 2K.
I think he's 2K. He's 2K.
Okay. All right. I'm always interested in 2K hitters. I'm not necessarily afraid of Montas. And like as Keith was talking about, Montas, we didn't really see him at all last year, kind of in the back end of his career, arm issues. The Ks have kind of gone away. I don't really need to pick on him, and Seattle will give you some Ks. So I think he's in the pool. Just think his price is a little bit too expensive. But the ballpark shift obviously is spectacular too. But when he was best, he was pitching out there on the West Coast in Oakland, which is that's the supreme place to pitch, to throw baseballs. I have not seen, do we have any 2K hitters that are alive, and how desperate are we for them? And I'm sort of thinking about the Glasnow stuff also, how do we save some salary? And I guess Guillerme is one of those too that people might play because he's super, super cheap. He's on Atlanta, but he's really not good at hitting baseballs. All right. Any thoughts on any of that, Keith?
79 stolen bases for Class A in mostly in Double A, a little bit in high as well. So he definitely has speed, 80 grade speed, like you said. Not much power. He did have 13 home runs. I guess he does have a little bit of power too. He's low average in the power department, but he seemed like he could. There's some fantasy down there, so I don't mind that.
According to FanGraphs, he is the 6th ranked prospect in the Seattle organization. But 21, if you're up with the big club at 21. Either they're really, really desperate or they really like you, I guess. I'm not always that's you don't see that too often. But all right. They brought up J-Rod at 19 or 20 or so.
The $2,500 range and under is really, really bad today. So he might be viable. It's really bad. So
you're talking outfield specific or just in general, across the board?
Just everything across the board. It's really ugly. 2,500 and under.
On FanDuel, the Dodgers are really, really cheap. The ones that might get pinch hit for, like Enrique Hernandez and Chris Taylor, they're 2-2 and 2-3. They're cheap ways to get Dodgers. They might get the hook at some point. If a righty comes in, the situation calls for it. We know how that works. We don't have the Dodger lineup just yet, but that is the projected lineup. Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Will Smith, Teoscar, Muncie, Enrique Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor, and Miguel Rojas. Still waiting for the Cubs, the Nats, the Cardinals, and the A's, unless I missed one. Just kind of dropping on us. Let's see. Yeah, we haven't got a lineup in a bit. Of course, those games happen a little bit later. Otherwise, we got everything else. Let's give out the second clue for Movie Monday because nobody guessed it. Ha-ha. They do get easier, I think. I think somebody gets this. I'm fairly certain somebody gets this. Well, I don't want to put the over-under. And you guys feel free to play in the chat. Don't announce it. Don't ruin it for the people. And, of course, if you get this correct, you get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium, not just for baseball, but all the sports, everything you think of with the exception of NASCAR. NASCAR, of course, a la carte. And put your answer in the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord, into the live stream chat channel. Clue number 2 is accused. Clue number 1 is Jake. Don't overthink that one. Just don't overthink Jake. Trust me. You can kind of ignore it. Accused is clue number 2. All right. And go ahead and submit your answers now. Anything else as far as pitchers in the chat? If we missed any names, I'm trying to see if the name's thrown at any players. But I don't
Joe
think
Ross
so.
is a name that we haven't talked about. And boy, it's
Okay.
not comfortable. But on this slate, like, I don't know, he has shown some ground ball ability so far this season, and San Diego loves to hit ground balls. I don't think there's any strikeout upside there, but like 6 scoreless innings wouldn't surprise me. If we're considering names like Ross Stripling. So I think it's a better matchup for Joe Ross than it appears. I certainly prefer the San Diego Bats. I love Manny Machado today. But like, if you're just dumpster diving, there are worse things you can do than Joe Ross. Like, the walk rate is ridiculous. It's going to get him in trouble more than likely. But if somehow he finds the strike zone enough and generates some ground balls to get him out of a couple of jams, he could have some success today.
Like, what do we do with his numbers? Because his samples are so small, he kind of disappeared for a while. When he was good, he was still vulnerable against lefties. I believe he was a ground ball guy, like good ground balls against righties. Is that correct? Top of my head.
Yep.
That's when he was like, rosterable. If you pull up the as Devin's showing off the plate IQ, every WOBA for San Diego is green with the exception of Tyler Wade. There's some power as well with Tatis, Cronenworth, Machado against right-handers. Bogarts, man, that power against the righties is just it's pretty rough. I thought it would be better than that. It's a big boy sample too, and it's just not spectacular. But the WOBA was pretty solid.
I actually don't like Bogarts at all today, just because he has a massive ground ball profile. A ground ball pitcher against a ground ball hitter is not something I'm looking to attack. So that's why I said I could see how there's a path to it going okay for Joe Ross today.
All right.
I like Adrian Hauser more, to be honest.
Okay,
but
sell me.
It's close. I mean, I think the Pirates are just kind of overachieving right now, and Hauser got blown up by the Braves, which is whatever. And
You're supposed to.
I think right. And so he's really good against Detroit. So I think Pittsburgh is going to regress eventually. So I think Hauser is a really good play for a cheap price point. I prefer Hauser over Stripling.
But I'll tell you this: there's a lot of
scored 9 runs. They scored 9 runs yesterday, Tim.
But forget everything Tim said.
But.
You fire up the plate IQ here, and Hauser obviously not the greatest strikeout pitcher in the world, but this lineup that Pittsburgh is rolling out, a lot of power, sure. I was gonna say, I guess it's a neutral ballpark shift, right, Keith? Like Pittsburgh and New York, both, pitcher friendly. They lean toward pitchers. It might be, it's probably about the same. They're both pretty bad.
New York's a little bit more pitcher friendly, but they are close. Both pitchers parks for sure.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Ks, right? Rowdy Tellez, power, but strikeout ability 23%. McCutchen, this might be his last year, 23%. Sawinski's probably one of the best bats I like as far as the Pittsburgh offense. We love him when he gets the platoon, but still 27%. Connor Joe, 24%. The rookie Henry Davis, a lot of promise behind him. I know he's really good in spring training, but I don't think he's done much so far this year. Once it starts counting, we're still waiting to see it out of him. So yeah, there's some power here, but there's also plenty of Ks here. The tricky part with Hauser is, are we looking at Yeah, 8.9% Ks this season. Is that the correct number? Is that right? It's not very good.
It's been really
year.
bad.
Yeah.
It's been really bad this season, but it's so early.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I see people taking some guesses in the chat, the YouTube chat. It's not Lincoln Lawyer. It's not Chinatown. If it was, it wouldn't count. Just to be clear, you're supposed to guess over there in the Discord channel. But we do appreciate the effort. Clue number 3 coming in shortly. All right. Anything else we should say as far as pitchers, or shall we go ahead and give the old summary? Tim, I'll let you go first. Have you settled in? Are you making one main lineup, and have you figured out exactly who your two pitchers are? You're kind of, it's sort of fluid where like you're going to play Glass now, and it's one of these 4 guys as your SP2.
Yeah, I'm playing Glass now, and then it's going to be either Heel, Hauser. I think it's going to be Heel or Hauser, to be honest with you. I don't think I can do Kirby. I can't do Musgrove or Lugo. I need more bats. So it's going to be Hauser or Stripling. Or Heel,
cash?
not Stripling. Heel. Probably not tonight, but usually I do. I think in cash.
Glass now for sure.
It's got to be for sure. Yeah, that's the easy part. But then probably, I guess you probably should go Kirby and then just try to find some value bats.
That's the tricky part because, you know, the Atlanta bats are pricey, the Dodgers are pricey.
Right. So I don't know. I think in cash you go Glasnow, Kirby.
All right. And, you know, Keith, you're rolling out 20 tournament lineups. You talked about earlier getting under the field as far as Glasnow. Glasnow, we're currently projecting them at about 50% of the field on DK. Give the people the summary. I know you've talked about it, you know, several times as far as your approach, but not everybody jumps on at 5 o'clock. We'd love it if you did, if you jumped on the show as we start, but some people just kind of walked in the door a few minutes ago. Let them know your thoughts as far as pitchers.
Yeah, Glasnow is clearly the best guy on the slate, but he's also really expensive. And Washington is a high contact lineup, so I'm going to be underweight that 50%. Just hoping that he gets 6 or 7 Ks instead of 10 or 11, and doesn't find the ceiling game, and I can make up the difference with my bats. George Kirby is the guy that I'm well over the field on. I really like the strikeout matchup for him against Cincinnati. All of his underlying data looks good, and I think he was just unlucky his last 2 starts. BABIP is sitting at 380 on the season. Expect that to come down back towards the 290 that he was last year. Sprinkling in throughout my lineups, I do have some Frankie Montas, Joe Musgrove. Sonny Gray is probably my third favorite pitcher behind Glasnow and Kirby. Limited pitch count, but awesome matchup against Oakland. I have a little bit of Seth Lugo, and then Louis Seal is my other guy that I'm significantly over the field. I like the price point. Toronto doesn't strike out a ton, but they're very right-handed heavy. So he has potential for strikeouts. It is his second time facing them in a row. So there's reasons to be concerned, but just I'm looking for something in that price range, and he's the best option. If you wanted to go down to Ross Stripling instead, I don't think that's absolutely crazy.
Thomas says, I'm going Martin Perez versus the Mets tonight. Screw it. I mean, it could be, it's probably okay. I mean, don't expect more than like 15 points, but it's probably going to be okay. You know, I can't endorse Martin Perez, but far too many times people have picked on Martin Perez and it just kind of doesn't work out. He is a great magician when it comes to getting out of jams, double play balls, ground balls. He can produce those. If they find holes, of course, it'll be trouble, but he's pretty good at getting out of messes sometimes. All right, stacks. Our top stacks on the slate. Myself, Head Chopper, Keith Eister, who's right here, and Squirrel Patrol. We did our top 5 stacks, and pretty concise, right? 9 games, 18 teams. Only we got to rank our top 5, and we're pretty much in step because only 7 teams in total have been ranked. No surprise, Dodgers number 1 across the board, Atlanta number 2 across the board, Houston number 3, mostly across the board, then Kansas City. I think there's kind of a gap after that, if you want to say a gap after Houston, but Kansas City looks pretty good too. And then like it's kind of like whoever your 5th team is, like whatever. Chop said Arizona, Squirrel said Arizona. Looks like Keith has the Yankees. No issue with that. I put the Padres, but I don't feel great about it. I'm told they're gutless most of the time. But Keith, your thoughts as far as stacks tonight, and you've made it pretty clear. that you're trying to save some salaried arms, and which will hopefully get you access to the Dodgers and the Braves and the Astros. Your thoughts as far as your approach when it comes to stacks tonight?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think there's a very clear top three. You can put Kansas City in the top tier when you consider the price, but as far as upside, the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Astros are all in just phenomenal spots. They're against very young pitchers with little to no MLB experience, and they're three of the best offenses in baseball. So I want to load up on those three teams as much as I can. Kansas City's in a very similar spot. I'm just not sure I'm buying them as a top 10 offense. I know they've been red hot to start the season, and they're like seventh pretty much across the board in things like ISO and WRC plus and WOBA and everything that I look at for offense. So they've been great to start the year. I don't know that I'm buying that to continue throughout the season. So they would be a clear fourth for me, even though they are cheaper than the top three. I also think that'll be a really popular construction today with people going up for Glasnow, and then you're able to fit in the Kansas City bats a lot easier than you are Dodgers, Braves, and Houston bats. So I'll be well over the field on those top elite three. Fifth for me is the Yankees, and in particular, Yankees lefties. Chris Bassett is a well above average pitcher against righties, but he's been absolutely hammered by lefties. So love Yankees lefties. Juan Soto is one of the top hitters on the slate for me. I love the bottom of the order too. Austin Wells at catcher, Alex Verdugo in the outfield, and even Trent Grisham in the outfield helps me save a little bit of salary. Even though I'm not going all the way up to pitcher in a lot of my lineups, I am in some. And getting those cheap Yankees at the bottom of the order definitely helps me do that. I'm fine with the Arizona call. Ben Brown is another inexperienced pitcher. I think he has enough strikeout upside to limit Arizona today. He does have control issues though, so I definitely don't hate that stack by any means. San Diego, I like individual pieces more than I like the stack, but the stack is absolutely in play because Joe Ross has the ability to get extremely wild. So there could be a couple of free runners on. There's going to be a lot of traffic on the bases. The Padres don't strike out a ton. I don't think Joe Ross is an above average strikeout pitcher. And then he has the control problems as well. So definitely think the Padres can put a lot of traffic on the bases. Wish they had a few more fly ball hitters though, but Manny Machado is one of my absolute favorites on the slate.
We got a lot of goofy small sample stuff to start the season, but I'm going to keep mentioning it just as long as it keeps being this way. Bobby Witt is in the 100th percentile for xWOBA, 100th percentile for xSlug, 100th percentile for average exit velocity, 100th percentile for barrel percentage, 100th percentile for hard hit percentage. He's 98th percentile for X batting average. What's wrong, Bobby Witt? You slumping? Just insane. He's been incredible so far this year. And like it's all small sample stuff. And that's kind of like Rizzo. You know how many barrels Rizzo has this year, Keith? He's got 0. Do we care? He stunk last year when he was dealing with those the concussion, the headache. By the way, Acuna, I think, only has 1. He just finally got his first barrel the other day. Which is a whole other conversation. Like, should we freak out about this stuff? Should we care? Does it matter? It's only been a couple weeks. But, Keith, do you care about the Rizzo thing? Are we concerned just yet? Like, we haven't seen him good for a while.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I am concerned about Rizzo. He's getting up there in age. He's dealt with back issues his whole career. You mentioned the concussion last year. His power really dipped last year. So, like I'm playing him today, but I'm concerned that he's not the same hitter that he was even 2 or 3 years ago.
That's kind of where I'm at too. I'm willing to play him, but cool guy Bobby says Acuna has 0. I thought he has 1. He doesn't have a lot. I think he just got 1 the other day. I could be wrong though. You have a thought on that, Tim? And like again, you try not to freak out over small sample stuff. We excused away the George Kirby stuff, and you can certainly excuse it away. But only so many batted ball events this point in the season, but. How much do you care about stuff like that, Tim?
I didn't really catch that, Dean, but I am not worried about Ronald Acuna at all. I am worried about Anthony Rizzo. He's getting a little bit older, played with injuries, but his price kind of reflects that. So I think it's a decent spot for the Yankees and Rizzo. So I'm not worried about Acuna, though, at all.
By the way, I just checked. He officially has one barrel, a 2.5% barrel percentage, 40 batted ball events, and 1 barrel. He's stealing bases like crazy. By the way, I like this in chat. I mean, this is what I like being the host and not actually answering the question sometimes, because Jardog is asking, Keith, I'll ask, this is an easy one. Acuna, Soto, or Alvarez?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would, man, for DFS, I would probably rank them. See, this is not easy. I think Soto would be third in that tier. Just like all three of them are in fantastic spots.
I answered Soto 1.
Okay, because you didn't walk so 5 times. I don't think 10 points and some runs.
Yeah, I mean,
it's against Bassett though.
Yeah, Bassett's got pretty good control. It's kind of talking me into pushing Soto up a little bit, but I love the other two as well. I think they're 3 of the top hitters on the slate. There's no doubt about it. It's not an easy decision.
Dean, go ahead and mush that Soto home run, Dean. Keep talking about his walk rate.
Hey, I can't mush it both ways, Devin, because I bet with the squad I have over 1.5 bases. So there you go. I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. And I like Soto plenty. I think he's spectacular. But for DFS, he can be a little bit, I don't want to say tilting, but you don't necessarily want to spend $6K on a guy that's going up there to walk. Well, like he can swipe a bag, he can score a run, and all of a sudden you got yourself, 9 points? There you go. So I'm good with that as well. Are you back with us, Tim? Can you hear us? Are we good to go now?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay. Are you having issues hearing Keith? Not really sure. I hear Keith. I hear him, but it's coming in a bit robotic. Unfortunately, it comes and goes. Hopefully, we can power on through. By the way, our guy Jardog in chat. If that question wasn't hard enough, he asked Betts versus Witt. So, Tim, I think you actually answered that in chat. But I don't know, man.
I did.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean they're both
great.
They're both great. They're both great. I said Witt, but they're both great.
Yeah, and if anybody says it full confidence, definitively, oh yeah, Betts is definitely the better play. I mean, they're just they're just being overly confident. Certainly you can point to the scoreboard and, oh my God, yeah, Betts was 3 for 4 with a homer, and we got a single out of Witt. You big dope, you went for the Witt side, but that's just how that goes sometimes. Oh yeah, which do we like O'Neal Cruz or Ellie De La Cruz amongst the shortstops? Who wants to handle that one? I would take O'Neal Cruz over Ellie De La Cruz today. You have a thought on that, Tim?
I agree with you. O'Neal Cruz for me, but I still like Hauser though. So I don't really like either one of them, for the record.
I don't either, but of course, tournaments you can do it, and Kirby's going to throw him strikes, right? And Kirby's probably not going to blow it by him necessarily. He certainly can, but that's not really his arsenal. He's an incredible control pitcher. His walks are 3% or so, something really, really goofy, dating back to last season. Cincinnati is weird because they're an offense. We love the roster, and also they get the stolen bases as well, just loading up on stolen bases, which is great for DFS. But I think you can pick on him in this situation today, as Keith laid out earlier. Let's see. Keith, are you back with us? How do we sound? We good to go?
Yeah, you sound okay to me. It's apparently my audio that is, I don't know. Cat's ripping me from my McDonald's Wi-Fi.
All right. No, I think we're fine. It comes and goes. It's mostly been good.
Yeah,
it's mostly been good.
There's some hiccups with the connection or something, but probably needs a router reset.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can do that. By the way, Suzuki went on the IL for your Cubbies. I'm not sure if you saw this, Keith. Is that why we're not getting a Chicago lineup? We're waiting for the move here for Suzuki?
I believe we did get the lineup. I thought I saw Canario was in for Suzuki. Maybe that was just in the projections chat. Knapp was saying that's what we're going to project. But yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, officially on the IL. How bad is the injury? I didn't see it. It's an oblique, apparently. Do we know how bad it is?
Yeah, I mean, obliques are never a good thing. They can be significant, a couple of months if they're bad enough. So hopefully it's just a mild strain for him.
Well, just as long as Michael Busch keeps homering every single day, you're going to get by, I suppose. Is that 4 in a row? I think he's homered, Busch. Pretty sure.
Yep, four straight.
There you go. Yeah, no Chicago lineup just yet as far as the Cubbies. By the way, the White Sox have help coming. You guys think, the White Sox are in trouble. Oh, no. Tommy Pham is on the way. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Tommy Pham is coming to save the White Sox season. He's going to be thrown right in the leadoff spot, probably. Rex, not Rex Grossman. What's the guy's name? It's not. That's a former quarterback.
Robbie.
Robbie
You mean
Grossman.
Robbie?
It might as well be Rex Grossman. Like, what's the
Might
difference?
as
I usually do that. I usually do that, Dean. Mix up the sports.
Derek's asking Raleigh or Stevenson. I'm guessing that's a one-off, and it's not like you're trying to complete a stack. I would take Raleigh amongst those two. Keith, you got a lean as far as which catcher you prefer today?
It would be Raleigh for me also.
All right. Feel free to throw out your questions by all means. Jardog, Montez, Kirby, or Martin Perez. I cannot fit Glasnow in my lineup. Well, that's a Keith question because he's finding lineups without Glasnow. Montez, Kirby, or Martin Perez. It's got to be Kirby, right?
Yeah, Kirby's my guy today.
I'm not sure what instigated this question, but fishing or jet ski? Cloud wants to know. This feels like a Tim question. Tim's he's got water right in his backyard, right?
Yeah, definitely fishing for me. Not close.
Hater of fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, jet skiing is way too fun. You don't have a ski-doo in the backyard?
I do not. Definitely do not.
Fishing is like, it's like the worst. You can't talk. Nothing happens.
That sounds great. That sounds like heaven.
Oh man, are you a fishing guy, Keith? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Out in Arizona, Keith, are you a fishing guy?
Yeah, not many places to fish out here. I enjoy. I don't go very often, obviously, but it's a decent time with a couple cold ones.
Yeah, I mean, you could just sit on the porch though and have a beverage if you want, but okay, fair enough.
I mean, that's essentially what you're doing when you're fishing. I mean, there's not a lot of work involved, Dean.
You're adding this unnecessary drama. Spoiler alert: you're not going to catch anything anyway. Like nobody catches anything.
I've actually won an ice fishing derby, a big one.
What?
Yeah.
How am I first hearing of this right now? This should be in like your Twitter bio. What did you win?
I'll send you the newspaper article.
It made the paper?
Oh yeah.
The Maine Gazette? What's the local paper called?
The Bangor Daily.
Front page? You hold up a fish?
Not front page, no.
No. They have ice fishing in Maine? I thought it's gonna be I guess it's cold enough for it, right? I suppose it's cold enough.
Do you know where Maine is, Dean? I don't think you actually
Canada,
do.
Right?
I don't think you really do.
I assume ice fishing, it's got to be like -30 or something. I don't know. It's going to be cold though. But yeah, how have you just now released that? It came up organically, but I was never aware that you were this incredible ice fisher. Congratulations to you. More questions popping up, and now they're just talking about fishing. John is saying, so a Royal stack the best today? I mean, I don't know how you qualify the best. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it could be the best. Keith, the Royals, the best?
I don't think they're the best, and that's why I want to pay up for the Dodgers, Braves, and Astros. They certainly have upside at their price. It's a good matchup for them. I just like Bobby Witt is good. I'm not sure that anyone else in the offense is good. Is my issue.
Yeah. Also, no Sal Perez today. Sal Perez, so their catcher weakened a little bit for what it's worth. Vinny Pasquantino. What's an Italian food that starts with M? Tim, this is your wheelhouse, and you're a big fan of Italian.
Manicotti.
It's Manicotti Monday. Is that what you're saying? Is it Manicotti Monday for Vinny Pasquantino? I
guess so.
Clue number 3. Let's give out some premium. Let's give out some premium to the people. Movie Monday. You want to be quick on this one. Maybe. We'll see. Go ahead and jump in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord live stream chat channel. First person to answer this, only one answer. First answer you put in each clue. Otherwise, you cannot spam. You cannot just fire off every single movie ever made. But the first clue, of course, that we gave out so far was Jake. Accused. Vindication. Vindication is clue number 3. Accused and vindication. All right. And we'll give out clue number 4 in just a few minutes as well. We're a little bit behind as far as the clues. If Meatball Monday works as well, or Mozzarella Monday, Kirkwood throwing out all the M's. That works for sure. Pasquantino or Fraley. I prefer Vinny over Fraley. I think I see the head nods. I think we're in agreement on that. All right. Dumpling's got a question for you, Keith. Oh, this is a Keith question. What do you guys think is the optimal stack size? 4-4, 5-3, 3-3-2. And I understand this is like a nature of the slate, and like there's a lot of variables. At least for some people just say, screw it, I'm just going to build only 5-3s or only 4-4s. What's your approach, Keith?
I am always going to take at least one of the max on a site. So on FanDuel, I always want at least one 4-man stack, and on DraftKings, I always want at least one 5-man stack. What you do with the rest, I think, is definitely more debatable. I don't necessarily need all 5-3s and all 4-4s on FanDuel. I think you can mix and match that and go 4-2-2 or 5-1-1-1 even. I'm totally fine using 3 1-offs with my 5-man stack, but I definitely want one full stack with the max amount of players.
You got a thought on that, Tim?
Yeah, not really, just because of the types of contests that I play. I don't have to 5-3, but sometimes I do. So sometimes I like to do a 4-4 also for like leverage, but yeah, no, not really a perfect science on that.
We got a winner for Movie Monday in chat. Well, wait a second.
Oh, never mind.
Here's the thing: is that somebody? Let's see. The Devin. Yeah. Okay. So Devin. Yeah, we got a little multi-entry, Devin, but the first entry they gave was the correct.
They pulled it smart. Yeah, they were really rolling dice there. GK Pfeiffer really skating the rules there with your double entry, but we'll take it because the first one was correct.
Let's not say what it is. Let's see if Tim or Keith or even everybody else can kind of play along. I'll just give out clue number 4 and clue number 5. Now we're just going to kind of play it out. But we do have an official winner. Devin, you're going to slide in and hook him up with a week free, I assume. Awesome. Thank you so much. Do appreciate those that played along. But now you guys can speak freely. You've done it the whole time, but now you can actually say it verbally. Keith and Tim. Accused, vindication, Rita Hayworth was the next clue. And feel free to answer on YouTube just for fun too. I'm always curious how tough or easy these clues may or may not be. But Rita Hayworth was the next clue. It doesn't sound like that's helping either one of you guys.
No.
The last
I thought I knew. Now I don't know.
The last clue is makeshift weapon. We got people in chat getting it now. For the record,
it's
Broccoli Boy just got it.
Fugitive. Yeah,
it's not the fugitive. It's not the fugitive.
No,
a lot of people guess the fugitive. Okay. It's not the fugitive.
All right.
Makeshift weapon is the last clue. No. All right. Salvation comes from within. Anything? Yeah, it is Shawshank. Shawshank Redemption. You guys have seen Shawshank? Yes or no?
I have, but it's been a
years ago.
Long time.
Yeah. Well, today is March 15th. It is April 15th. So it is it's tax day. So I was like, oh, tax movies. Let's what kind of tax movies are, last time, sometimes that's kind of a giveaway. Like, well, what day is today? And, Andy Dufresne, he helped with not to give too much spoilers away. Most people have seen the movie, but like he helped, he was a tax guy, right? He was an accountant. But,
wait, did you say today's tax day? I'm just kidding. I did mine already. I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's what I left the house today. It was a whole production. Unbelievable. But had to go to FedEx. It's a whole thing. But yeah, if you guys, I'll just kind of run it back as far as the clues. Jake is the name of the bird. And I said the clue number one's not. You're not gonna bake it anymore. Accused. Andy Dufresne was accused. And vindicated. Redemption. Shawshank Redemption. Vindication. Redemption. Kind of synonyms. Rita Hayworth plays an integral role in the movie. She's on a poster, a very famous poster in the movie. Makeshift weapon. Shank. All right. There you go. Thanks for playing. Oh, by the way, Devin has not seen it. We got to get Devin to see Shawshank Redemption.
What state is it set in, Dean?
I believe it's in the Northeast. Is it Maine? It might actually be Maine.
You are correct. It is Maine.
Have you been there? Is this like a there's not a lot of tourist traps, I assume, in Maine, but that might be number one. That and like the place where you can fish.
I don't even know how to respond to any of that. So
can I go on a tour? Can I tour Shawshank if I want to? Is it what's it doing these days?
Maybe you can.
We know if it's still standing?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up. I'll Google it. How about that, Dean?
B Shot, by the way, in chat said you should have gone with the accountant, and I was, because maybe I'll tweet about that. The Accountant is probably Ben Affleck's most underrated movie that people have not seen, but I don't think enough people would know or have seen The Accountant, so I didn't think that would be fair. I try to make it like broad movies that most people at least are aware of, for not necessarily have seen it, but are aware of. I see TJ hanging out in chat, giving out his Spidey bombs. He'll be producing in about 10 minutes or so when crunch time comes in. Oh, shocker, Spidey going really on a limb with the polar bear, Pete Alonso. I'm sure Spidey will be a little bit more ambitious with the second one. I got a ding dong for the people. I got several, but I have one that's pretty ambitious, actually. We'll talk about it in a second. But do we have any taters? I want to know if we have any Tim's taters, any Eisters Fleisters. Tim, you go first. Give the people a tater. A couple if you have any.
Give me 1 minute. I'll look some up real quick.
Oh my gosh! Did I catch you up? Did you?
I got a couple. I gotta look up the odds, Dean. I gotta look up the odds.
According to Eric, by the way, Shawshank was filmed in an Ohio prison. So maybe the movie took place in Maine, but like was actually filmed in Ohio. Yeah, that's what several people in chat are saying. I assume the interwebs have confirmed such things. Keith, did I give you enough time to fire off a couple of Fleisters for the people?
Yeah, I got a few
Vinny P plus 400.
Ooh, I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I did not look up odds, so I'm more going off of like DFS pricing here. Oscar Hernandez, somebody that I love today, gets the rookie lefty. Manny Machado, another one that I really like, as two of the, they're not super obvious, but they won't be unowned. A little bit more off the board. Give me Alex Verdugo for the Yankees.
All right. You didn't take mine. Mine is Jared Kelenic. Jared Kelenic versus Arrieta. Platoon advantage versus Arrieta. The entire Houston bullpen. The entire bullpen is righty, with the exception of Josh Hader. So if you're telling the story that the Braves are winning this game, you're going to see all righties, or you're not going to see Hader, and there's no reason why they come in unless they're winning. So you don't have to worry about like Adam Duvall coming in and spelling Kelenic as a pinch hit. If you see Hader, and if it's a one-run game, Kelenic might go bye-bye, but that's how that goes sometimes. But and also on the road, you're pretty much locked into those 4 ABs. And if Atlanta's really doing their thing, there's a chance for 5 at-bats with the platoon advantage in his favor.
I got another one.
Way.
I got another one, Dean. Will Smith plus 525.
I love that I got TJ tilted. He makes a great point, to be fair. Vinny P is plus 400. And Dean says it's the best play he's ever heard. I think he's exaggerating a little bit. Alonso plus 400. It's a trash pick. Name recognition counts when it comes to these things for sure. And I think TJ also has this. He's got this goofy book in Saskatchewan, Canada, that gives like really positive lines. Now, maybe that's actually the line for like Caesars, I'm not aware, and the lines sort of check out across the board. But I like the polar bear at 400, 4-1. I saw people were giving Grant trouble the other day, picking obvious picks. Well, Grant does the scores and odd stuff, and somebody was trolling at him on Twitter. Oh, you just picked Mookie Betts. It's so obvious. Like, there's nothing obvious. He was 5-1. Like, there's something obvious about picking a 5-1, the homer. Like, that's not obvious. But, if it hits, it's obvious. If it doesn't, Grant's trash. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny. But, I saw him in the comment section on the Twitter. You can't win. Let's see. Is Pasquantino a good choice? I think so. Sure, why not? Oh, John Sterling is retiring immediately. I didn't see that. I saw they had an announcement for the Yankees. Their longtime announcer, I guess he's stepping down. I don't know if it's an illness thing or not, but hopefully he's old. But hopefully all is well. He's just retiring because. But all right, somebody's asking about rostering Vines. Keith, we're not rostering. Especially he's not even cheap. Like 7-8 for Vines. Get out of town.
Yeah, I have no interest. Of the rookies that are going, I would definitely go with one of the much cheaper ones. Like they all have terrible matchups, but at least Arrieta and Parker are like dirt cheap. Like Vines is not even that much cheaper than like a Lugo or a Gray or even Kirby. Like, no thanks.
We got crunch time knocking on the door. Normally they come in around like 6:15 or so, but Devin runs a tight ship. TJ runs a tight ship. So let's go ahead and let's bring on crunch time. All right. I was correct that Will was going to be here. I was correct that Roth was going to be here. I did not know Dave was here, but I'm pleasantly surprised. Dave Potts, cheese is good. Dave, can you do me a favor and take 30 seconds and just tell Devin why he should see Shawshank Redemption. He's never seen it in his life. Stop everything he's doing. And I don't know what plans Devin has tonight. If you can eat kale while watching it, it's fine. By all means, tell Devin, even if it costs the $4, I told him I would PayPal the $4. I want him to have the pleasure of doing Shawshank for the first time.
I don't even know what to say. That's like one of the weirdest things I've ever heard in my life.
I've been really pigeonholed with the kale snacks here.
Yeah. If I'll give you till next Monday. If you have not seen Shawshank Redemption by next Monday, you're off. You're out of everything. I don't feel like I should need to pitch this to you. And even if you wanted to come back and say you didn't love it, I could even entertain your thought process behind that. But to have not seen that is not okay.
I feel like I've probably seen probably a quarter of it just from clips, and just references and so in pop culture. But yeah, I've never seen the whole thing.
Some movies you could just catch a little bit here and there and you would get it. That's not one of those. It's such an all-time classic. And again, I would even understand someone saying it's not for them. I don't think you're going to say that. I think you're going to say, what have I been doing my whole life? But I think it's not okay to have not seen it.
Ruthless Villain in chat says it's overhyped. Don't do it.
Yeah, but Showboat King says you literally can't oversell Shawshank, and he is correct. Think about all the shitty movies that you've seen. So many. This is not one of them. I promise you.
One called Thanksgiving. Yep, that's not a good one.
It is a legitimately good movie. Love it or not, it's going to be better than a lot of what.
Here's the real deal. Dean was telling me to watch it. All right, maybe I'll watch it. Cheese tells me to watch it.
Oh, come on.
Well, Dean, you talk about so many movies. You kind of, after a while, it's like you've said so many movies. I can understand what someone would say. I guess let me get another take. But has anyone told you not to watch it ever?
Not me.
Talking to me?
No.
It's not like there's a few people who'd say, "Hey, you should watch Shawshank." I doubt you would find more than 1% of the American public who would say, it's not worth watching.
It's funny you say that, by the way. So we can't agree on a lot of things as a society, right? 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, 98%. That's up there with puppies and kittens. 98%, and ice cream, right? What else is at 98% we can all kind of agree on? So I'll just leave it at that. Forget what I said. 250,000 people, maybe some bots. I don't know. Rotten Tomatoes have had their issue, but still, 98% is a pretty strong number. That said, we should step aside and get out of here and make way for crunch time. Myself, Keith, Tim, we do appreciate all watching the first portion. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do not go anywhere because we still got 50 more minutes of baseball talk. You got Chief, you got Roth, and you have Dave Potts. Cheese is good. Take it away, Roth.
Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's crunch time. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz, taking you up to lock, taking you through lock. Chief, the people saw you. You're smacking. You're smacking on something, and I think it was my guy Kirkwood who said, "What you eating over there?"
It's a Mexican dish called Texas rice. I'm not sure if anyone's had it before.
Are you sure it's not a Texas dish?
No. It's every Mexican restaurant or Hispanic restaurant in the Southeast has a Texas rice. It's their rice with shrimp, chicken, and steak, onions, peppers, and cheese sauce or queso. And the authentic queso, not this nacho cheese you get from Taco Bell. I'm talking about the real stuff.
Right.
So that's called Texas rice where I live. And so that's what I had a small portion left. I felt very hungry right before the show. I've been sitting in front of my computer looking at all this stuff. And I said, oh, my goodness, the show's starting in 15 minutes. So I grabbed that, heated it up. And I thought I was actually going to have about 5 more minutes. And Devin said, hey, everybody's here for crunch time at 6:10. And I said, well, while the Shawshank Redemption talk is happening, I'm going to finish off this small portion.
Get after it.
And and now we're in, and I'm done. So fantastic timing by everyone to talk.
Yeah, I do. I jumped on like 5-10 minutes early just to listen to the show. And apparently you guys did the same. And then Devin was just like, well, screw them. Throw them on air. So note to self, I'm never doing that again. I am not jumping on until the very last minute when I have to be there. Yeah, all right. We got some food talk, of course, naturally. Anyways, Chief, good to have you. You feeling good? You like this slate?
Yeah.
Good. That'll work. That's all I need to hear. We got it's just a simple yeah. We got Dave Pot. Cheese is good as well. What up, Cheese?
Not too much. Just trying to figure out how far away from my microphone to be. But you can hear me. So
well, yeah, that actually sounds great, but it also does seem like you're whispering. Say something exciting, like
I'm excited about
Plutko Palumbo.
Plutko Palumbo.
Yeah, see, it got a little rough there, but I think it's fine. The people can hear you. That'll work.
That's really all we need to know. I'm so thrown off by the pre-show shenanigans. I don't even know what's happening anymore. But it's a fun baseball slate, and Will is here. I haven't seen Will, I don't think, since last baseball season. So it's a pleasure.
Very nice.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, happy to have you guys connect here. And the people, they don't want movie talk. They don't want Tex-Mex talk. They want baseball talk. Is it Dean's gone?
But they want
the baseball can commence. That's what we're here to do on Crunch Time. Even though we got here early, so we can mess around a little bit, we're here to dive into that slate, let you know exactly what you need to know. That does start with the weather, although today, thankfully, it really doesn't start with the weather. There's all of these games in the Mid-Atlantic are like close to worrying, but none of them are going to be a problem. That would be Baltimore and Philly specifically. I think in New York's case, it's well to the south. Look at that. Look at that. I wouldn't be fully shocked if we have like the briefest of late starts in Philly. They had a shower that just moved through there maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, but that's probably it. And if they late start, it's like our warm-ups got interrupted type late start. It's not something's coming. There is a very low chance of an in-game delay in Philly and Baltimore. There's almost none in New York. And the chances are low enough that you just do whatever you want it to do, even if that means pitcher. I'll probably go back in to Philly and kind of lower that risk, maybe some combination of green, yellow. So I assume that works for you. By the way, the people want the home run calls, Cheese. The people are just like, who's gonna bomb? That's all they care about, Cheese. That's it.
Yeah, I don't love that this is where the world has gone.
That's all anybody cares about,
Dave, just tell them to go read your article from many years ago. That is a staple of my DFS play. That's called "Hitting is Good Too." If they read that article, it'll literally change their life about home runs. But I digress. Sorry, Dave. Please continue.
No, I mean, and really everything I talk about in the article is like slanted that way anyway. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. But just like, let's be clear that the greatest home run hitter in the league, whoever that ends up being this year, will homer maybe once every 3 to 4 games. Yeah. Like, we're being a little silly with the home runs. I know that's what people want, and I will by all means tell you who's going to hit a home run.
Yeah, you're actually like really shockingly good at telling people who's going to hit a home run.
I will reiterate again. In all seriousness.
Yeah.
I do not know about, look at, play home run props.
Yeah.
So when I give you home run calls, I am not telling you to bet on this person. I don't even know what the number is, and if I knew what the number was, I wouldn't know if it was a good number or not.
Yeah.
I really mean that, because that's not. I don't have home run props in Alabama. That's not a thing here.
You're old school. You're out there grinding season-long MLB, like legitimate fantasy, and these people want the new thing. They want the home run calls. But you have been actually really great at giving those. Could be Travis says, for a guy who doesn't play home run props, you sure crush home run calls. And Jason says, we don't care. Just spit out a player and let us burn our money.
Yeah. I will tell you who I think is going to hit home runs. I mean, I know that's what people want, and I am happy to oblige. Just want to be clear that there's a little difference between the two.
Sure. All right.
Well, I do have a home run call for someone that's not on the slate. Might as well get that one out of the way. And that's Ryan Jeffers. I like him today to go yard, but that's he's not on the slate, so we don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Well, Cheese, the people say just do it now. We've been beating around the bush. You've been talking about it. You want to just we never just lead with home run calls, but why the hell not? We'll give the people what they want.
Yeah, maybe it would be interesting if we do that. So let's go somewhere different. And we'll go with Vinny Pasquantino.
Oh, man.
We'll go with the big dumper. Is that Kevin?
The big dumper, baby, Cal Raleigh.
Yep, Cal Raleigh out west. And a little different, seeing if something is in the random column. I don't want to go too random, but Gary Sanchez will hit another home run tonight.
Very nice. Okay, there you go. We got the home run calls out of there. Chief, any you want to add here, or you feel content with your one that you dropped? Was it Jeffers?
I don't know how many people are going to be on this, but I do like Tatis today, showing good power against Ross. I know Ross is kind of ground ballish right now to start the season, or heavy ground ballish, but Tatis actually flashing some really, really nice power this season. Has always done that, but he looks pretty good for a home run today. So Jeffers, who's not on the slate, and then Tatis, who is on the slate.
That's true. TJ pointing out now, why are the people going to hit the like button? Because if you hit the like button, TJ is still going to drop some Spidey bombs for you. And that's a whole nother set. You want more home run calls? You get that like button and you'll get those Spidey bombs dropped. So make sure you are smashing that like button. Also, just a quick note before we actually dive into the slate, we've really been messing around, but someone said the odds for Schwarber, I don't know if this is accurate. He says plus 200 for Schwarber to hit a home run, which, if my math is right, means that he has to do it every other game. Like you would need that to happen at 50% chance that he hits a home run. That's insane, right, Cheese? For anyone on any day to say he has a 50% chance of hitting a home run, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is not how that works.
Yeah, right. Jason says he's not 200 every day. I get that, but he would need it to be 50% today for those odds to be accurate, which seems fully crazy. All right. With that all out of the way, let's do the thing that we do. By the way, Spidey bombs. We got Pete Alonso the first, the second at 150 likes, the third at 200. Like someone says it's 33%. Is that, I don't know. I don't actually sport. I'm not allowed to sports bet. I'm in Texas. Cheese is in Alabama. We're handcuffed here, people. Cheese, let's go. Let's dive into the pitching slate, though. That we do know.
Yeah, it's a weird pitching slate. Like we have the very obvious Tyler Glasnow is like light years ahead of everyone else, but he's also light years ahead of everyone else in salary and probably ownership too. So I guess let's do the thing where we just say, step back for a minute and realize that when someone's $11,000 and like everyone else is $9,000 or less, it's very unlikely that Glasnow is actually one of the two best points per dollar pitchers. And a lot of times I'll hear people say that, like, well, why would I pay $11,000 when, unless he gets a ceiling game, he's not going to be points per dollar. Well, keep in mind, the expensive batters are not going to be the best points per dollar batters either. You got to get your points from somewhere. So I just want the guy who has the highest floor, the highest ceiling, the highest likelihood of scoring the most points. And really, I don't think his ownership is going to be that high because it is hard to make lineups with him. I think he'll probably be more like 35% owned, which is still a lot. But there's not – you don't feel great about your Glasnow lineups. Yeah. And you need several punts. So I'm not really concerned about the ownership. And it's not that I think like he's not going to do what he did last game, probably. I don't think he's scoring 40 points or 60 on FanDuel. I think it's just that he's the best pitcher. Mm-hmm. And everyone else has some question marks. So
he's the safest, but you're paying for it.
Yeah, he's the safest and with the most upside. And producer TJ is in the house doing like all the jobs.
Apologies, I'm not really camera ready, but I figured till Will gets
You
back,
look fantastic.
I'll pop in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
The hair is really something.
yeah. I didn't mind doing that earlier. I fixed it for the show. Okay, so after Glass now, and there are a lot of lineups where I don't have Glass now. It's not like I have. I mean, I have about 40 to 50%, which is I just don't think the ownership can be that much over that. And Will's back. Everyone's here. So after Glass now, I'm playing mostly George Kirby in non-Glass now lineups. And again, that's not sneaky. That's, I think, what everyone's doing. If they're not playing Glass now, they're playing Kirby. Kirby has been awful to start the year, but only awful in results, not really awful in how he's pitching. I think he's fine. My next guy is a kind of a toss-up between Sonny Gray and Joe Musgrove. Sonny Gray has a really low ceiling because he's only going to get 75, 80 pitches. Like, you're hoping he gets 5 innings, but he probably does. And everyone else outside of Glass now is just bleh.
You wouldn't rather have guys that will at least go 100 pitches than some guy who's going.
Nobody's going probably 100 pitches. Most people are probably going 90, or you can have 75 at Oakland. I like Kirby way better than him. I did end up earlier in the day. I was planning to play more Sonny Gray. I'm playing a lot more Joe Musgrove now. But I don't really like that. And like Merrill Kelly and Frankie Montas, they're fine. Like, all those guys have a higher ceiling than Sonny Gray because of the pitches. But these are not particularly great pitchers.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm playing more cheap nonsense outside of Glass now and Kirby, which is Ross Stripling, Adrian Hauser. I think you could do the Yankees pitcher's name is Louis Heel, but we're not going to call him that because it's spelled Gil. So you can play Louis Gill.
Nice.
You could play Joe Ross if you wanted, or Martin Perez. I'm not playing those guys. I'm playing Ross Stripling or a little Hauser. But again, in that mid-range, like, I just think it's all so dicey that I'm completely happy with my 15 to 20 Sonny Gray points. Like, I'm not chasing a 30-point game at any of these guys outside of Glass now.
Okay, that's fair. Chief, I want your takes on pitchers. I do have to say that both Alan and Dean actually'd me on the odds that I listed about the plus 200, and that was actually very informative. So thank you. You were not that helped. So thank you. I'm learning. I'm still learning the whole sports betting thing. So I appreciate that. Chief, what are you doing pitcher wise here? You going shocky, or are you getting crazy?
Are we on FanDuel? Are we on DraftKings? Or are we just talking about it clumped together?
Clumped together, but if there is something specific, I want to know individually how you're handling both.
Okay. On FanDuel, my player pool is probably much more condensed than DraftKings, but I mean, it's basically Glass now. It's Kelly, it's Montas, it's Kirby, and I'm not really going too far outside of that. I probably would have played Sonny Gray, but he's 9,700, and I'd rather just play Tyler Glass. Like, I was very close to the Tyler Glass now lock button in tournaments for what.
Let me pause you for 1 second. When I was talking about Sonny Gray, that is DK only. He's out of my FanDuel pool completely. So sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no problem. Listen, cheese for governor. You guys will get that later, or maybe you won't if you didn't read. But Tyler Glass now. I mean, I was close to like pretty much lock button, but I do like Frankie Montas probably a little bit more in the field in tournaments, and that's on both sides. Just because Seattle has been fairly rough this season. We have seen Montas get up in that mid-90s. I think one start he may have actually hit 101, but don't quote me on that. I feel like I'm right, but I'll come back to that. But I do probably like him a little bit more than everyone else today, but mostly a tournament play. I just think Seattle's struggling right now, and I understand you don't know when the struggle bus is going to end, but I want to keep taking advantage of them while I can. Even this season, and I know it's early, but they're not hitting for as much power right now, and they're striking out. So I'm very, very intrigued with Montas. today. But on FanDuel, I mean, much more condensed. On DraftKings, a lot more expanded. Because I think it's no secret you need to play Glass now. I think you need to play Kelly, Montas, Kirby. I'm not playing any Joe Musgrove, but that's personal preference. He's just been rough. Sonny Gray, man, I wish Sonny Gray was getting 85 pitches. To me, that felt way closer to 5 1/3 or 2/3 innings, and maybe even 6 or 7 strikeouts. And he may still get that against this Oakland team who's striking out a ton already this season. Like him, we'll have some Seth Lugo, just because the White Sox, they're just struggling, a whole lot of injuries. Their team overall hasn't struck out a ton, but they're not hitting for power as well. And then, we're going to play Mr. Plantar Fasciitis himself, Louis Heel. I'm just kidding, Luis Gill. And I will have a little bit of him, but outside of that, I'm not really stretching it too much. I'm going to be getting pretty creative with stacks. So I'm not really going down too far. I don't like any of these cheap guys. And it probably won't matter because they'll all get 10 points anyway. But I hate them, so I'm avoiding them.
Okay, well, you made a great little transition there because you said you're getting creative with stacks. So let's jump right into that. What is the chalkier stack, and what are you playing to get creative if you're doing chalkier things like playing Glass now and some of these other guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to assume Houston and Atlanta are going to soak up a bunch of ownership today. If you're playing DFS, you should be playing tons of Houston and Atlanta. I'm going to have a fair amount of, Diaz, McCormick, Dubon stuff, Bregman, Tucker, bottom of the order type deals. Same thing for Atlanta. This 5 through 8. I'm going to have more 5 through 8 than 1 through 4 today, for what it's worth, because I need to play Tyler Glass now. Now that's not saying that I'm not going to have any Acuna. Like and I play wraparounds all the time. It's baseball. Acuna can hit 2 home runs, and Jared Kelenic can hit 2 home runs today, and everybody else does nothing. That's baseball. But generally speaking, I think these two teams are creme de la creme, if you will. One of my teams that I really like a lot is Arizona. I plan to really attack Ben Brown today. So I'm going to have a fair amount of Arizona, a fair amount of Dodgers, which is obvious. And then outside of that, I'm going to follow Cheese down the Kansas City Royals path today. Really like them. And I'm going to play the Brewers and the Padres. So I'm a little bit more expanded in my stacks as well. But every other team I'll have some one-offs. But those are pretty much the stacks that I'm playing. And the most popular ones, I'm not playing a whole lot of the top of the order together, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. If I've got a 1, I'm probably coming, 7, 8, 9, 1, or 6, 8, 9, 1, something like that. That's mostly what I have for these big stacks.
Okay, makes sense. Cheese, let's talk stacks. What are you focusing in on? What are you overweight on, I guess, is what I'm most interested in.
Yeah, so I think we're going to end up with no chalk on the stacks because like the Braves, the Astros, the Dodgers are all kind of obvious and all kind of expensive, and I think all kind of split it up. And then I think there's more chalk on the cheap side, but more with individual bats, like some Pirates, even some like White Sox are chalky, like just because weird little cheap pieces fit in everywhere. But essentially, I'm not even moderately concerned with ownership today. I would be stunned if anything is popular enough to matter. So I've got.
Geez, can I squeeze in right there real quick before you continue?
Yep.
Most of the reason I'm playing bottom of the order is because I can't play the top completely with Glass now. I digress. I just wanted to make that clear. Like I'm not avoiding it intentionally. If I could stack the top and play Glass now, I would, but I can't. So sorry, Cheese. Back to you.
Now, the difference between what Chief and I are doing is I'm playing Ross Stripling so that I can play an extra top of the order lineup.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But it's still not a straight 1, 2, 3, 4 with these expensive teams. You still got to get one of the cheap guys in there.
Yeah.
So I go Braves first. Braves, Dodgers, then Astros, then Royals. Those were my 4 to start the day. They're still my 4. I've kind of ended up with Diamondbacks next. And then I do have a little bit of everything. But as far as the cheap stuff, I've ended up a little underweight on the Pirates. Like I think the Pirates are weird chalk. Of course, I like Sawinski for his price and Rowdy Tellez for his price. But I think that's where we end up seeing a lot of ownership just because they fit. And I don't love it. But I think you can just play Braves, Astros, Dodgers and not be chalky at all because I don't think anything's chalky.
Okay, very good. We want to go around the horn, but did get a couple questions in that I want to circle back to, Cheese. One is, how about Brown on FanDuel at 6K? The second was Mitchell Parker in a DK GPP.
On FanDuel, I can't even spend that much salary if I have it. I can't play Ben Brown on FanDuel. And then on DK, like theoretically, it's the slate where a 4K pitcher would be great, but a guy in his first start who probably walks everybody against the Dodgers, I'm not playing him. I'm playing Ross Stripling or Adrian Hauser, who are 6K. Like, I don't know. Anyone for 4K could work out. But to me, that's too wild and crazy.
But like, if you're playing 20, maybe, or like you're playing 150 and not touching it.
I have 40 and I didn't even consider him. So I don't know. In 150, I might have played one. Wow.
Okay. Like, that's a dude. If I'm playing 2, I'm playing him in one of my 2 just because it's 4K. Like, but that's why you're a lot better.
It's not the worst thing. Like, theoretically, the guy has strikeout ability, and he'll face a bunch of batters who've never seen it before. Like, it's not completely impossible that he does something.
He's not in a good spot.
It won't be doing it on my roster.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's perfectly fair. Okay. Zion's Left Shoe says, how about some Met stacks? And then Conscious Machine says Mariners and White Sox stack. Cheese, I'll let you handle both of those, and then we'll go around the horn.
Yeah. So, like, really and truly, other than the Nationals against Glasnow, there is not a stack you could name that I wouldn't say yes to.
Yeah.
And they're all extremely jumbled after those top 4 for me. So, I mean, yes, I have Mets. I have Mariners. I have White Sox. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, let's go around the horn, and we'll start with the catcher spot. And Cheese, if you wouldn't mind leading us off there.
So Will Smith, far and away my favorite play by a lot, and he does not need to be in a Dodger stack for me. I just want to play him. The other guys who are kind of priced up are a little tough. I like Yanner Diaz, but if I'm not spending up to Smith, I'm kind of trying to save money. Like Francisco Alvarez, 36. It's not cheap, but it's affordable. Freddie Fermin is probably the chalkiest of the cheap guys, and I'm fine with him. Or like Austin Wells. And I did mention, the home run for Cal Raleigh. I think he's just off the board. He's not cheap. He's just nobody's going to play him, so he's worth a shot.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Chief, any other names you want to throw in there at catcher?
No, because I mean, Cheese and I wrote these down. I do have Gabriel Moreno on my list, but that's more so. Once again, I'm attacking Brown, and then Austin Wells. I do like him a ton. Like, Bassett's still struggling with lefties, and I think Austin Wells, if he should have some RBI potential here, because I think New York's running out about 6 lefties today, 5 or 6. I mean, they really are going to platoon him, and that kind of caught me off guard a little bit. But that's my reasoning for Wells. I just want to put that out. Bassett's still really struggling with lefties here right now.
Okay, great. How about first base? By the way, a couple people said, hey, why didn't you say Cincy? Why didn't you say, what about Brewers and Cheese? They all fall in that same category.
None of them are the Nationals, so they're all playable.
Right, all perfectly fine. Okay, Chief, your thoughts at first base?
Yeah, I mean, people were asking about the Mets, man. Pete Alonso, ultimate one-off play today for anybody that's interested. I mean, I know he's out in Citi Field, but man, I mean. I probably start looking at early season numbers a little bit earlier than most, just to get an idea. Nothing, I'm not trying to read into it like it's the gospel or anything, but I just like to kind of see it. I mean, right now, even in a few at bats, Pete Alonso, I think he's sitting around 800 ISO. It won't stay there. He'll end somewhere between 350, 400, 500.
Nope, it's on record. Will says Pete Alonso will beat the all-time best ISO by double for the season.
Well, yeah, I do. I really, really like him today. To just kind of put in a few spots. Obviously, Matt Olson at the top at 6K. I'd probably rank him above, in my opinion, I'd probably rank him above Freddie and Shohei today. And not because of lefty, just because, Arrighetti, this should be a good old-fashioned butt whipping for him. Don't mind Christian Walker. Don't mind Anthony Rizzo as well on the cheap end. I talked about these lefties against Bassett, and while Rizzo hasn't started out the season in any type of spectacular fashion, this guy's a professional hitter. 3,900, I think, is a little bit too cheap. And I do like San Diego today as well. Give me Jake Cronenworth also at 3,800.
Okay. Very good. Cheese, let's go through your thoughts at first. And then after that, I don't know when it fits, but Dean wanted to know your thoughts on Guillorme. He in fact says, I want to know what Cheese is doing with this Guillorme nonsense. He is terrible, but he does make things work. So
it's a well-phrased question. He'll come up next organically. He's at second base, so yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, first.
So Alonso and Olsen are maybe my two favorite plays on the whole slate. So Will pretty much covered that. Like, those are the guys I want, and they're expensive. So if you're doing that, you're going to punt elsewhere. I do, of course, also like Rowdy Tellez. I think on DK he'll be pretty chalky. Like, he's the very obvious cheap guy. But I want to spend up where I can. And then on FanDuel, I like Vinny P. He's underpriced there. And that's really all I want to mention.
Okay, great. Then let's go to second, and maybe the conversation starts with Guillerme.
Well, so what's interesting, and the reason I'll bring him up here is, to me, there's only one bad position on the slate, and it's not second. It's actually third. And Guillorme is also a third baseman. So if you're playing him, which you might, it's at third. So I'm still going to push him off again. We're not ignoring you, Dean.
That's fine.
Because we have four awesome second basemen that you can spend up on. You got Betts, you got Albies, you got Ketel Marte, you got Altuve. Going back to the idea that I'm playing Ross Stripling, I can play some Mookie Betts, and that's who I want. He's up there with Olsen and Alonso as top plays on the slate. But in most lineups, that's not very realistic to play Betts. Albies and Marte and Altuve are a little bit more just in my stacks. Like, when I'm pulling one of them out, if I can afford it, I'm going with Albies. But I like all those guys. I like Kevin Biggio as a punt. Nolan Gorman as kind of the random mid-tier play. And or Gleyber Torres and Jorge Polanco. All those guys are kind of clumped on my list in the mid 4K range on DraftKings. The two guys that are punts at second are also punts at third. It's Guillorme, who Dean mentioned, and Lennon Sosa for the White Sox. These guys are not good baseball players. But like I keep mentioning, I'm mentioning all these super expensive bats because I'm going to punt at least two spots in most lineups.
Mm-hmm.
But both those guys I'm primarily using at third because those expensive second basemen I like better than the expensive third baseman.
Makes sense. Okay. Chief, your thoughts at second?
Nothing to add, man. I think second's pretty straightforward today. The good guys at the top, you get these cheap guys at the bottom. And in between, you're probably just playing guys in your stacks, and I don't think anybody's obvious. So I'm fully on board with Cheese here.
Great. Let's kick it over to third then. Oh, by the way, I'm seeing, guys, we're not allowed to play Alonso because it's been pointed out that he's 0 for 9 all time against Perez. So just
thank you.
Yeah. So just go ahead, pull him from your lineup because he's in 9 times. He's never had a hit, so it will never happen. Clearly, that's for those who are confused. That's sarcasm. We don't believe in that. Just to be clear, Chief, what are your thoughts at third base?
I'm going to reserve the Guillorme talk for Cheese because I know Dean asked specifically, but it's just obvious stuff like Austin Riley. He's expensive, but one of the best spots of the night. I'm okay with Bregman. I'm okay with Max Muncy lefty. Actually, I don't think we'll see a whole lot of Muncy lefty tonight. Even though this spot I think is pretty good for them in general. I like them a fair amount. I'm okay with Sosa just because he's cheap at 2,500. Cheese mentioned something I think it's very important. Like you talked about punting, like I'm going to have to punt maybe a little bit more than him because I'm not really spending down as much at pitcher. So he does help me out in either second or third. It's probably going to be third because I prefer to play Betts, Albies and Altuve and those guys at second. So yeah, that's where I am there. But I did want to mention Muncy lefty because I think he kind of gets left out in the wash today. Even though our ownership is sitting around 11%, I don't know. I don't think he gets that high. So I just want to point that out.
Very good. Okay, Cheese, your thoughts at third.
Yeah, so here's where we'll start with Guillorme and even Sosa. Like, you cannot just spend at every position. And I don't care for these third basemen. Sure, play Austin Riley, but you can't play all these guys everywhere. The thing about Guillorme is he's actually kind of something close to an average real-life Major League Baseball hitter. He's not a good DFS player because he has no speed and no power, and that's what we care about. Yeah. But he's playing for the Braves. Like, don't take that out of the equation. If he gets on base twice, he probably scores twice, and he's free. I think he's a very good play, given the position and the price.
Yeah.
I like him. I'm playing him.
Okay. And then you said there was another one. Was it Perez?
It's Lennon Sosa for the White Sox is. I actually have about the same amount of him as Guillorme. The difference is he plays for the White Sox and not the Braves. Like, that's the difference. I think Sosa actually has more potential to be a good, like an actual guy who can hit 15 home runs in the majors as opposed to the 5 that Guillorme can hit in the season. Neither of these guys are good, and it's just for the salary. So the guy in the Braves first, but I have plenty of Sosa as well.
Okay.
Partly because, and let me point this out, we didn't know Guillorme was in the lineup. We knew Sosa was in the lineup. I didn't feel like going back and changing all my lineups. If I was not a hand builder, if I was doing this all rerunning my script, I would have more Guillorme.
Gotcha.
I'm just gonna do what I do and see what happens.
Right. Okay. And then some other names. Are you strictly punting at third, or are there lineups where you're spending up and you're getting a Machado?
I think, I don't want to say for sure because I probably have one, and that'll be the one that wins. Does something different. I think all my spend ups are in stacks. I can't fathom having a lineup where it's not, but maybe. I don't know. I might have one Austin Riley or Manny Machado. Those would be my two choices if I was spending up. Muncy is fine as well. But I think all the expensive guys are in stacks.
Okay. The trolling in chat, Derek, that's funny, but that got me. Jardog wants to know who's going to hit 2 home runs or who we are certain is going to hit a home run. And just to go back, and I know most people realize this, we can't tell you who is going to hit a home run for certain tonight, nor certainly could we tell you who's going to hit 2 home runs tonight. Like, that's just not how it works.
Scooter Jeanette.
Yeah, but Derek said the answer is Guillorme, who's going to hit 2, which I did laugh at. All right, let's go to shortstop. And I think Cheese, are you leading us off at short?
Yeah. So shortstop is good, like second base is good. It's more than good, it's fantastic. You got Mookie Betts and Bobby Witt, who are just going to be every day 2 of the best plays on the slate. Very expensive, but worth playing if you can get them. And I've got a few as one-offs. And then, like, O'Neal Cruz is notably cheap on FanDuel, where I think he'll be pretty popular. And Lindor in that same game is cheap on FanDuel. So I think that does maybe lower the Betts and Witt ownership there a little bit, although you could double shortstop. On DK, where, like, Cruz is 52, I really want to try to get to Witt or Betts if I can, but again, it's not possible in nearly every lineup. So yes, Cruz is third for me. Betts, Witt, Cruz. The cheaper stuff, I have what we'll call a silly amount of the guy who forgot to put the R in his last name, Braden Schumacher. Because it's like the Guillorme thing and the Sosa thing. Like, I want stars and scrubs, and I want as much Mookie Betts and Yordan Alvarez and Matt Olson as I can get. So I'm just playing some nonsense plays, and he's one of them.
Is Schumacher on a good team where he's just going to hit a single and get 2 RBIs, or no?
No, he's on the White Sox. But the thing about
everybody on the White Sox is 2K now.
Yeah, the reason the White Sox are fairly popular because they're so cheap, but he's actually got skills.
Okay,
he has power and speed.
Gotcha.
Not a ton of either. But
he could do it. He could hit a home run.
I think he's actually a fairly legitimate baseball player.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Very good. Chief, your thoughts at short?
Yeah, off the board, I'm definitely going to have a little bit of Ha-Seong Kim today, one of my KBO brethren. So I'll have some of him. But listen, man, Bobby Witt, I don't have to sell you on Bobby Witt. You need to try to get him into as many lineups as you can. And, of course, man, Cheese has already talked about some of these price differentials between FanDuel and DraftKings, which I had in my notes to make sure I discuss. And Cheese has talked about it, so I don't need to regurgitate. We're pretty much in lockstep. So if Cheese comes in first tonight, I should be coming in second.
Good. Okay. We'll get that RG train. Just get all the logos up at the top here. Chief, what are we doing in the outfield?
Outfield is pretty interesting for me because I actually expected Yordan Alvarez to have way more ownership today than what I'm looking at. So plenty of Alvarez, plenty of Tucker, plenty of Acuna. I actually really like Juan Soto today as well, and he's got less ownership than those two guys. So Soto, once again, I talked about these lefties from the Yankees. I really like them today. That's probably outside of Arizona in terms of maybe what I felt like were the stacks that weren't going to be as obvious. I really like these Yankees lefties. I'm going to have plenty of Juan Soto. Want to call him out on the top end. As we get down, one other guy on the top end I'm going to mention is Lourdes Gurriel. He's always actually hit righties pretty well. So this did not just start this season. And he's getting Mr. Brown, who, while on the season, he's striking out a lot to righties, giving up a ton of power, a ton of hard contact, some fly balls. So I like Lourdes Gurriel today a ton. And then, of course, if you want to get to the Braves outfielders like Michael Harris at 4,700, a lot cheaper than Marcell Ozuna at 52. Like, you can get some of him. I don't hate Donovan leading off as long as he leads off against Stripling. I know Stripling is one of Cheese's cheap targets, and I think that's just more because of the slate. But Donovan leading off here, Stripling's been giving up tons of hits, just not really been getting rocked. So I like him leading off quite a bit. I don't hate Jock Peterson, obviously 3,900 on the cheap end. And then one guy, I wrote down MJ Melendez. I like Melendez today. He's a guy that he's batting fifth, I think is 4K. He's a guy I really like. And then I also wrote down, I talked about Tatis earlier in terms of a guy I like for home run. I know he's further at the top of the list, but he's a guy I really like as well.
Okay, excellent. Before we get Cheese's thoughts in the outfield, TJ, how close are we to Spidey Bomb 3? Did that get dropped yet? Give him a second. He might not.
10 likes away. 10 likes away from Spidey Bomb number 3.
We're 10 likes away from Spidey Bomb number 3. Everybody's begging for home run picks. 10 people just got to hit the thumbs up, and then you get another home run pick. So
and then
do
one quick question before we hop into this. Cheese, this for Cheese. It's a funny question, Cheese. I am borderline serious. Is Chris Taylor going to hit any baseballs this season? I mean, he's striking out like a 50% clip. He's got to get down at least into the 30s. It's been rough. It's been tough sledding for him. But he's 2,800, a guy that I want to play, and I think people are going to play him. But, man, he's struggling so far. What do you think about Chris Taylor?
Well, he's kind of fallen off pretty far the last couple of years, quietly, since he's been playing every day. Like, I hate to say something like this out loud. Like, he feels to me like the guy that was probably eating something he wasn't supposed to eat for breakfast that was helping him, and he stopped, and he's getting older, and he's just not good. I don't know. And really, when you look back at his career, maybe he was never good. Like he had one 20-homer season. He always struck out a lot, and he's 33 now. So No, the answer is no. He might not ever hit a baseball again.
All right, Cheese, real quick, your thoughts in the outfield, and then we'll open it up to some questions, which can be baseball related or food related. Those are our favorites.
Yeah, outfield is the outfield. It's fantastic. I do slightly prioritize spending up at like second and short and even first. So like I'm okay if I don't get Acuna or Alvarez or Soto or Carroll or Judge. I like Alvarez, Tucker, and Soto probably the best of the spend ups, but they're all amazing as usual. I think Sawinski and the Royals guys, Velasquez and Melendez, are the mid-tier plays, mostly on DraftKings, although Sawinski I have a lot of on FanDuel. The 4,500-ish range is not great to me outside of Harris. So I kind of want to spend up or spend down. I will also mention we have another punt that kind of came out of nowhere with I don't know if it's pronounced the same as Emmanuel Clase of Cleveland, but Jonathan Clase for Seattle. Stole 62 bags at Double-A last year and hit 13 homers. Walked a lot. Pure minimum salary for Seattle. I think he's a decent punt. And thankfully stopped me from needing to play a whole bunch of Dominic Fletcher. So nobody wants to do that. So yeah, I've got most of my lineups on DK have one punt outfielder, or at least down to like the 3K range, with then something expensive. Yeah, there's so many outfitters, I'm not going to name them all, but those are the cheap guys I like.
Okay, very good. We got Spidey Bombs. The newest Spidey Bomb is in. We got Spidey Bomb 1, Pete Alonso, Spidey Bomb 2, Lars Nootbaar, and Spidey Bomb 3, Rowdy Tellez. It is official. And we want to dive into some QQs right now. We're going to start in the RG Discord, by the way, because that's where the cool kids hang out. And if you're not in the RotoGrinders Discord, like, well, what are you doing with your life? You should look in a mirror and ask yourself, what am I doing with my life? Not in the RotoGrinders Discord. We'll start with this DK single entry GPP. Chief, Gorman or Justin Turner as a one-off?
Gorman.
Very good. FanDuel single entry 2v2. Cheese, Altuve, and Bobby Witt, or Mookie Boots and Will Smith. I mean, Mookie Boots and Will Smith has to be the answer.
Yeah, both sides are absolutely fantastic, but I lean Mookie and Smith.
Yeah. DKGPP. Chief, if I have a 4 or 5 Atlanta or Houston stack, what is your favorite team to stack with them as a 2 or 3 man stack? So if you have a main stack that is a pricier Houston stack, who is your favorite team to stack with them as a 2 or 3 man stack, Chief?
Secondary for me is going to be Arizona, Royals. Arizona and Royals are like my top 2. Yankees lefties coming in at a strong third.
Okay. Very nice. Hey, did you guys know there's never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium? It's true. NBA, PGA, NHL, MMA, MLB. Get yourself a 6-month combo subscription. Exclusive price, $469.99. That is a savings of $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months of combo premium. And if you prefer to test run the product, you want a little test drive the car, you can just dip your toes in the water. 3-day pass, $19.99 for that 3-day pass. Check the links in the description for more info. In the meantime, back to the QQs here, and we'll go with Sherman's Tanks FanDuel cash question. Cheese, I'm coming to you. O'Neal Cruz or Will Smith?
Love them both, but I prefer Will Smith.
Okay. Here we go. Thoughts on Stripling and a FanDuel GPP. Cheese, you're playing Stripling, but I don't know if that was FanDuel or if that was just DK specific.
It's mostly I have one Stripling lineup on FanDuel. You don't really need the salary so much, so I don't officially recommend it, but I do have a Stripling lineup, but just like 1 out of 20.
Okay. He adds that the Cardinals are the most gutless team this season. They're gutless, and I think they might just be bad and not really gutless, just bad.
Yeah,
but also probably gutless.
They can be both.
Yeah. Chief, any interest in Kike, FanDuel 2,200 or is he too much of a pinch hit risk?
I'm okay with it. I mean, he's batting 7th. He could very well be batting in the first inning in this matchup. So I'm perfectly fine with Kiki.
The other thing for me to jump in there, like he's been playing against righties, and I think Taylor and Rojas both more likely to come out than him. So I think if you need to play one of those cheap Dodgers, that's the one you want to play.
Well, Chris Taylor's definitely coming out before Kiki Hernandez.
He should come out before his
Okay, that's honestly that's a great note. Boss Bro says thoughts on a Brewer stack. Cheese, you actually mentioned them as one of those stacks that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you I love them, but I mean, yeah, I have a few, and if you like them more than me, I think that's fine.
RC player says, Roth, you'll love to know that your dong's home run odds are plus 180, which is just astronomical to me. Though I'm learning that does not mean he has to hit a home run every other game. That's still just that plus 180 to hit a home run that's lunacy, really. Cheese, DK, is Alex Verdugo okay as a one-off?
I'll say sure. He's not on my list personally as a one-off. But
listen, I love the Yankees left.
But do you love Alex Verdugo as a one-off?
I'm assuming he must be building big, heavy stacks to get Verdugo as a one-off. I'd be okay with it. But that's an assumption. I don't know what the lineup is.
Yeah. Mark Flores says, in a Brewers and Astros stack, William Contreras and Dubon. Chief, is for you. William Contreras and Dubon, or Sal Frelick and Yanier Diaz, DKGPP?
Second.
Okay, great. Chief, why is everybody sleeping on your boy Ozuna this year? He's been smashing.
I don't think he went sleeping. I think he's got a price increase. I mean, he's starting the season in the low 4K range, and today's 5,200 on DraftKings. So I think that's probably why there's been a lack of hard mention of Marcell Ozuna. But he's, just as good as anybody else in this Braves lineup today, but he's expensive.
Yeah. All right. What is the minimum age limit, Cheese, for liking butter pecan ice cream? It is an older, style.
I can't even figure out which way we mean there's a minimum age limit.
Like, do you think a 4-year-old would like butter pecan ice cream?
Did when I was 4.
Yeah.
But really, no. I mean, it's for
for seasoned folk,
more seasoned humans for sure.
30 plus. It's 30 plus.
I mean, I would feed it to a 33-year-old.
Yeah.
Party.
I think that's what
my wife likes. Pralines and cream. That's her favorite. It's close, but it's not exactly the same.
Similar,
that's an under the radar. That's a GPP kind of play right there.
Yes.
Cheese, is it a release the hounds kind of slate? Can you go so let's say on DK, like mid-range cheap at pitcher, and then just all the bats? You mentioned there's like 3 teams.
Oh yeah,
high price bats. Is it a slate you can do that?
Yeah, but they're so high priced, you still need a couple punts in there. Like there's no such thing as a full release the hounds, but like you can get like 6 or 7 expensive batters. If you don't play glass now, play a cheap pitcher and 2 punts.
Love it. Okay. Cheese, what do you think about Michael Busch as a one-off at third?
I like Michael Busch, and yeah, I do.
Okay, great. FanDuel GPP, gentlemen, 1 stack to win it all. Chief, you can go first.
I'm going to go less obvious. I'll just say it. I talked about them all slate. Give me these Yankees lefties. I don't trust Chris Bassett against all these lefties today. And they're all cheap, especially on DraftKings. Like, from Rizzo down, I mean, they're 3,900 under. So, and I know it's FanDuel, but I'm just reiterating. Give me the Yankees.
Okay, Cheese.
Just give me the Braves.
Braves. 1 stack to win them all. Give me the Braves. Mitchell says, can I get Cheese's bombs of the night? We actually led with it. Do you remember your bombs? You want to give new ones? I don't know.
I definitely don't remember them.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know Cal Raleigh was one of them.
There we go.
Yeah.
I don't know if someone else probably remembers. Vinny P. I think. Yeah.
There you go. Vinny P and Cal Raleigh.
Take Matt Olson too. I don't think I said him, but we'll go with Matt Olson.
Sure, that'll work. I think we're less than 2 minutes into lock, so let's make sure we get that. Sanchez.
Gary Sanchez was the sneaky off the radar.
Yeah. How do you feel, Chief? 3-man San Diego stack wrap, Tatis, Merrill, Wade.
I'll allow it.
Okay. Alfonso would like to point out that Breyers made a butter almond flavored ice cream when he was young, and it was his favorite even as a child.
Really?
I'm intrigued.
Find one of those.
It was good. It was good. It was good. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you've piqued our interest
That's
here.
That's one of those things I feel like my parents let me down. Like when I was a child, I didn't think to go to the store and hunt for almond in my ice cream, but someone should have found that for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, Gil or Kirby, FanDuel GPP, Cheese. And then the next question was thoughts on Kirby in a FanDuel GPP, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, Kirby, basically Glassnow and Kirby is my whole pool on FanDuel. So, okay. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and I called him Gil. It's heel, apparently.
But we're going with Gil to make it understand what the question is. Yeah.
I like it. Kirby or Kelly in a DK GPP, Chief. Also, Viva Los Dodgers on Jackie Robinson Day. Okay. Narrative Street. Kirby or Kelly, FanDuel GPP. DK.
Give me. I think I like Kelly a little bit more than Kirby, but they're pretty close to me.
Okay.
Tomato, potato.
All right, and then we're hitting lock here. Morning Napalm said Kirby or Musgrove on FanDuel. It might be too late for it. I'm not sure.
I'm assuming Chiefs is going to go Kirby on that for sure.
Yeah. All right. 2 more questions before we bounce on out of here. Cheese all the way from South Carolina. Daryl George says Yahoo Cash. Does the Alonso sarcasm extend to Joe Musgrove owning the Brew Crew?
Yeah. Well, look at the Brewers lineup and ask yourself how many of those players were on the Brewers the last time Musgrove faced them, and that should answer the question.
Okay. I'm assuming the answer is not many.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe 2 of them. I don't like. It's a totally different lineup. It's not relevant.
Right. Completely irrelevant. Okay, and then
a fine play, but the fact that he's owned the Brewers in the past is not relevant to this lineup.
Right, and then last question for Mr. Irrelevant. He says, "I got a full Dodger stack on DK. I'm currently playing Mason Wynn. Is there a better option at short with $2,800 left?" I don't know which of you wants to do that. Who wants to do the legwork?
28.
I'm in there right now.
Yeah. Oh, Schumacher. Cheese.
I have more Schumacher than Wynn, but that's he's not necessarily a better play. I wouldn't tell you to play him over Wynn. I would just tell you I'm playing him over Wynn.
Okay. Cheese kind of loves Schumacher just because the name is so silly.
Yes, it's so fantastic.
There's just an R that clearly was supposed to be there, and it's not there. Where's the R? Chris Kirkwood, our guy, says, "Hey, good luck, great show." Thank you, man.
While we're on the topic of Chris Kirkwood, hey, Kirk, all the RG people in the YouTube chat have their name in blue with a little wrench by them. I don't even know how to log in at all. I can't even type anything on YouTube. I don't even understand. Someone send me a message on how I can be cool like you guys.
I'm curious as well. Every time I try to do it, my computer crashes. So
I know. I want a little blue wrench, but I can't even. I mean, I'm lucky the days I can find out how to even look at the chat.
Geez, we got to get you in the chat, man. This is important. This is important.
Yeah.
Kirkwood says, governor, we got to give him some access.
Kirkwood said he had to lobby for the wrench. It wasn't easy. He had to fight for that wrench.
Yeah, maybe I'll have him on my behalf lobby the powers that be.
Yeah. Dean says, has Cheese considered that Musgrove just really hates blue and yellow?
That's actually a fair possibility. I can't say that he doesn't. But I prefer to think of him as colorblind. So I don't.
Listen, True North, this might be the post of the day. He says, you can be cool like Schumacher and change your name to Chess is good.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Fantastic.
Or Cheese. Cheese is goo. Cheese is goo. Yeah. All right, we're going to bounce on out of here. We're gonna get on out of here. Excellent work, guys, as always, for Chief, for Cheese, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.